care, we'll stand beside you throughout the entire legal process, not just as lawyers, but as your friends. We are Maple's next.
All right. All right. Welcome to 2020 Cashion Football Wildcat preseason football kickoff show. I'm Neiman Abavi, my man Chris Gibson. You guys know us from last year, all the craziness that ensued during last year's awesome football run into basketball and the state title run as well. We're so happy to be here. We're not sure if we have, just like every other day, technical difficulties and what volunteer work leads to the unknown, and so we're not even sure if we're live right now. We're going to hope, if worst case scenario, what we'll do is we'll post the archive on this. You guys can come back and watch it. We know it's streaming and recording, so worst case scenario, when you're on that Zoom call meeting tomorrow morning, you can go ahead and click on us and watch us as well. So we're super happy to be here, and Lou, Chris, I'm going to bring you here in a second. Lou, of all the COVID-19 stuff in the world, I know I'm absolutely just sick and tired of talking about it. I cannot tell you how pumped and excited I am to be walking on the campus of Cashion, America, Cashion High School, with the idea that we are going to be playing some football here very soon. And we've already actually played some softball already. So welcome, Chris. Happy athletic 2020 season.
It's my favorite season of the year, right? Is that what they say? Football season?
Absolutely.
I'm just, like you said, I'm glad that we're the state of Oklahoma and Cashion and everybody's moving forward with the football season, and just to get back some sense of normalcy going on in the world, and this right here is going to kind of help everybody through that, I think.
Absolutely. So I know my family loves the fact that I leave the house and I'm doing this stuff, so it's a win-win for everybody on that sense. But I'm really excited, and we're really excited this year upcoming. Again, Chris and I do not do this for a living, but we're trying to bring you guys. We're trying to match the intensity and all the work that our coaches and players bring to you. We're trying to bring you guys the best quality we can. Again, super grateful to folks like John Hardaway, our sponsor, but of course the administration, Sammy Jackson, Coach Shackelford, who allow us this opportunity to bring this to you guys any place that we can. Again, we've already done softball already this year. We saw Cashion win their first softball game of the season Friday night, and we're super excited. And so we're super excited for the opportunity to be here. We've got a pretty strong slate. We tried our best. We've got a lot of super awesome guests. Chris and I are going to go through a little bit of last year. We don't want to pour any salt in the wound from last year, but definitely want to talk a little bit about that. We'll talk about the upcoming season, new districts. We'll talk about kind of what to expect here in this Cashion football team coming up. We'll do that for the next 5 or 10 minutes. We'll cut to commercial. We're going to have a lot of guests. Our first guest is David Hammonds. David is a multi-year, couple-decade official here with the OSSAA in football and has done a lot of stuff. Former superstar at Putnam City North back in the mid-'80s. And we'll have him talking about all the changes for rules in 2020. But I think you'll be really interested in sticking around and hearing about what's going on for COVID-19 rules this year. So we'll have David on, and we'll have him going through those rules. And then we'll have Coach Shack as well as Coach Wood come in and talk about this upcoming team, the upcoming season. Of course, they'll use a lot of coach speak, but we'll try to get something out of them that will get maybe Rejoice Christian on edge or something like that. But we're super happy to have those guys on board. Coach Wood was hoping that we would bring him dinner and have it at a restaurant, but maybe if we can get some sponsors out there, we might do that next year. And then we'll finish up the show. We have 3 seniors and a junior coming in. We've got some great football guys coming in to kind of talk a little bit about themselves. It's okay. They're team first guys, but they'll talk a little bit about themselves, about the upcoming team, what's been like to go through COVID-19, and then we'll finish up with Chris. You were, I think the only miss you had was the Ringling game last year. Not only were you perfect with Cashion picking games, but you're almost spot on with scores. So We'll definitely bring Nostradamus over here to give us his predictions on district play as well as what he thinks will happen in the playoffs. But again, we're super excited and happy to have you here joining us. We'll see how it goes. And Chris, in terms of questions, like what can our maybe the 4 people watching right now, hopefully if it's live, what can they do to ask questions live?
If you want to ask questions, just jump on Facebook at Cashion Wildcats TV, or you can text us, or you can jump on Twitter, and it's say
at TV Cashion.
At TV Cashion. Jump on, send us all your questions. Already got some great questions from Jackson Drake, of course.
Yeah, we already had some. I think one on Twitter already as well, right?
Another one on Twitter. So send them in. That's what is going to make this show great is that the fan interaction, and that's what we're doing it for, is for the fans and to kind of get excited about this season.
Absolutely. It's going to be another great run. I'd be remiss before we cut to commercial. I want to thank, again, our partners at Squirtle.com who make this happen. Adam Dieselhorst and the group, Corey Rogers, have been fantastic. Even though we may have some technical difficulties right now, we can't put that on Adam and Corey. That's on us. It's the carpenter, not the tools, right? And, of course, a big shout-out to Ethan Sunkin. If we had a way to move the camera, we'd show Ethan just sitting right over here next to us. Ethan's our producer today, doing a great job of managing the graphics, the camera, and the questions as well. We're super excited to have Ethan. Ethan is a full-time employee or part-time employee of Squirtle, making a side hustle as he goes to school at UCO. Is that right? Yeah. So certainly grateful for Ethan to be here, and he's been here in the past. He's actually supported our broadcast with graduation and other things. So we're super excited to get started. We're going to go a quick commercial. We'll get ourselves organized and we'll be right back to kind of highlight the last year and upcoming 2020 season. So stay tight with us, hang tight with us. We'll be right back.
I'm Dieselhorst, and we are here to help.
Support your school's booster club and get your business in front of thousands of potential customers.
Talk about a win-win.
Advertising packages start on this streaming station for less than $10 a game. Call 405-726-0835 or email adam@squirtle.com right now for more information.
Stream like the pros with Squirtle Live. Find out more at squirtle.com/stream.
Dr. Matt Dieselhorst at Athlete Care OKC helps.
And we're back.
All right, welcome back to Cashion Wildcat TV. Let me put it off mute. Welcome back to Cashion Wildcat TV here on Squirtle.com. It's the 2020 Cashion Wildcat Kickoff show here. Preseason football is very close to kicking off here with a scrimmage coming up that we'll talk about. I'm Neiman Ababi. This is my man Chris Gibson. Welcome. So we certainly are excited to have you guys. So what we're going to do right quick is we'll just we have to break down 2019. We have to break down 2019 from our humble opinion, right? We won't lay in too much, but then certainly, Chris, I want to get your perspective on coming into 2020, expectations and things like that. But certainly, I think last year, as we were going through, I think every time we got in the press box to do a game, to talk, you were interviewing Coach Shack and Coach Wood. I don't think there was a weekend or Friday night that we felt that it wasn't going to be a Cashion victory. I mean, I think we all felt comfortable. They had 15 seniors on that team, a lot of them starters. Certainly not the ending. What was your final take from 2019 in terms of your thoughts going into 2020?
Well, 2019, I mean, it went exactly to plan, until that last game, and you get to that point, and it's the state championship for a reason. There's going to be a good
Right.
team on the other side of football, and that was a great team. They made big plays, and they won the game. So give it up to Ringling for being the 2019 state champion. But we were there and competed and was in that game and had our chances, just didn't pull it out. And I know that these kids that are back this season and moving forward, they're waking up every single morning going, I'm going to get up and go work hard because I don't want that same taste in my mouth. And, I mean, that's what I would do if I was a kid that played in that game last year that had a chance to come back and kind of redeem yourself this year. And I know these boys are that same competitive, fiery, wake up, let's go to work every day kind of kids, and I'm excited to see.
Yeah, me too. We've seen the
out and
workout.
play.
Absolutely. You look back. I mean, it's one of those situations you can't really second guess much. I mean, Cashion, if you want to throw the stats up, Ethan, if you take a look at on the offensive and defensive side, I mean, phenomenal on both ends, right? You're talking about 43.5 points per game, both running and throwing. I mean, you had Caden Harrell and T.J. Roberts. You had Ben Harmon making it. You look at 2,600 yards rushing, 2,300, 2,400 yards passing. That's Lincoln Riley balance right there. 44 points a game. And you look at defense, only allowing 10 points. I mean, we had several shutouts. Less than 150 yards per game. I mean, you look through. I mean, there's nothing to second guess, and you get to the game and a couple breaks here and there. I know we won't necessarily ask coach, but I know that play right before half. I think not being able to get that right on the 1 yard line, not be able to punch it in. I know it was a tough one, and give credit to Ringling coming through. They made some big plays at that big 6'6" tight end who made a couple big plays there in the game, and so. From that standpoint, it's just about reload and kind of get after it. From before we look, close down 2019, go to 2020, and any other final thoughts in regards to, the stats or anything like that?
Well, like you said earlier, there were so many seniors on that team, and to graduate all those seniors and to still be in a position to compete and be ranked high and have the expectations we do just goes to show that these coaches have prepared these kids and to kind of move forward, and I'm excited to see. There was a lot of junior leadership on that team last year, and they're seniors this year, and they're not expecting to come in here and say we're rebuilding. They're saying, hey, we're still here, and let's move forward and let's go.
Absolutely. So let's focus now on 2020. It's pretty exciting stuff. Ethan, if you want to, maybe put up the kind of returning starters. I think that's a good kind of segue. So, again, apologies if we've misspelled the name or if I've misspelled the name or left someone out. But certainly, as we're trying to do our day jobs, we're trying to get something here for you all. But, to your point, there's a lot of names on the starting list lost from 2019 that certainly will be missed, right? There's some guys that have gone on. They're going to be playing football even at the next level, Austin and Ryan and Alex. But from a standpoint, you look at the gold there on the right side, key returning starters, pretty impressive. I mean, you're bringing back your quarterback. You're bringing back the beast, right? Caden Harrell, who's going to man the middle as well as toting the rock. Anything else stand out to you in terms, you talked about that junior leadership. Anyone stand out to you in terms of who to look out for going into 2020?
Well, one that you missed on the key returners that is going to be one of the biggest is offensive lineman Colton Southall.
Colton Southall, yeah.
He's not on there. Look at that line that we graduated last year. Look how many were on that line. There we go, right there. Yep, you've got him on there. Colton Southall, and then for him to be in the middle of that group and to lead those kids coming up. I know we've got some good underclassmen coming up that I know Coach Shack and Coach Robertson are going to be coaching up and saying, hey, you're going to have to step up and fill those big shoes.
Right.
And I think they will. I know. Was it Joey Wilson?
I
saw him the other day, and I was like, man, he's put on some weight and gotten stronger, and I'm excited to see. I know he stepped in a few times last year and did a good job filling in a few plays here or there, a couple games, and I'm excited to see his role and how those other guys, those underclassmen we had a bunch of seniors on that line last year that were been there, done it, that were proven. This year, they're going to have, those younger guys that didn't get as much playing time. It's their time to shine,
Yep.
and I'm excited to see what they can do.
Absolutely. So Coach Shaq is sitting over here watching us, so I can't be too critical, but I'm not going to kiss his butt or anything either. But really, honestly, you mentioned a lot of coaches' names there. There's one thing coming through that I don't have zero doubt is that maybe in the start it might be a little slow with some younger guys coming in with minutes on the offensive line. But DL, when you're talking about the offensive line, they will be set. They'll be ready to go, and that team will be clicking with whatever pieces that's given to Coach Shaq and the group. They're going to be in a great job. And I know from an offensive standpoint, I think there's a lot of praise that's heaped on Coach Shaq, and it's rightfully so based on just the numbers that he's been able to produce year after year with all sorts of different quarterbacks. I think 6 straight quarterbacks that have gone on to play at the next level. So it'll be a situation where I don't think there's a whole lot of fear in regards to what's going to happen with definitely on the offensive side or with the line. It's just a matter of how fast and how quick, and then how dominating, right? But on the other side, if you want to go back to the graphic again, Ethan, thank you, is the piece on the defensive end. When you have that middle of your defense, that back seven, right, starting with Caden Harrell, and you've got Jacob Farrow and Justice, and Nick Nababi filling in for Bryce Miller, and then you've got returning, you've got Lagasse and Fippen on the corners. Brexton Green, an unbelievable athlete. He's played safety for this will be his 4th straight year. He's played since his freshman year. That defense will keep them in games. Yep. And so I think if there's anyone going back and going, oh, man, Cashion, you lost so many starters, I think all you have to do is point to that defensive side and know, hey, they're going to be able to keep us in games. There might be some turnovers. There might be some situations where it may not look pretty on offense at first as the offensive line is growing, but it certainly will be a situation where the defense will keep them in every game possible.
Yeah, I was watching, going back, and I was trying to make a few little videos for a couple guys that are going to be here. Going back and watching games, and I was watching Bryce Miller, and I was thinking, man, who is going to fill in for him? Because he was a big part of our defense last year. He wasn't just the kid that got all of the attention, but he was part of that group that really made it click. And then I was watching the Texoma game when Caden went out after he had his ankle injury, and Nick filled in. I was like, well, there's Bryce Miller right there. And and he's going to have to step up and fill that void right there, because like you said, Justice, Caden,
Jacob
Farrow, and then Nick moving into that spot. It's going to be a lot of the same look that we had last year as far as that position. Now the front three, Ryan and
Gunnar Simpson, Colton Ogletree.
Ogletree. Those 3 big boys that you're going to miss, but that's another position group that I want to see step up, and excited to see what we have there. Yeah,
certainly we'll have Coach Wood here on the defensive side to kind of walk through that, let us know kind of how things are progressing. Coach Shaq is here. We'll walk through the team and definitely on the offensive side. Hey, Ethan, if you want to click over to the schedule coming up, there you go. It's business as usual. I asked Shaq. I said, Shaq, what are we going to do? What's going to change? No, business as usual. We're running. We're going. And I think a lot of folks who, if you get your preseason magazines or if you talk to anyone, those first 4 games look ridiculous. And then I think a lot of folks are saying, Shaq, what's the story here? And I think there's probably a lot of things. If you read in the, I think in the Vipe magazine, Coach Shaq was quoted as talking about the fact that. There might be some opportunities to grow as a team, to challenge differently, maybe outside of what's in district, and so we've got some new district changes. But anything from that, if you stay with the just the out of district or the non-district play, those first 4 games, anything stand out to you from your perspective?
Yeah, I just kind of went through those first 4 games and then and just kind of looked and read, like you said in that Vibe magazine, just kind of figure out who we're playing. Rejoice Christian, they were, right there, ranked 1, 2, 3 all season last year. They lost 1 game, and they were in
They lost to Ringling, right?
They lost to Ringling, yes. They moved up this year to Class 2A. They had, after the numbers came out, they moved up. They lost a lot of key players, but they're kind of the same kind of deal as Cashion. They're always expected to do good things, and just because they lost a lot of players like we did, I don't see them dropping off any, and I think they're going to be back. They have a sophomore quarterback, Chance Wilson, and then they have a big senior running back that's going to come back and really be hard to bring down.
Yep.
And that's going to be somebody to kind of focus on that game.
Yeah, that'll be our first game of the season, and we'll definitely be there at Cashion Wildcat TV. So Chris and I will definitely be up there in Owasso, Oklahoma, to cover that one. What else stands out to you?
Perry's another team. They've got all 5 of their starting.
Is Perry 2A?
Yes, Perry's another 2A team. They've got all 5 of their starting offensive line coming back. That's going to be something that they're really going to lean on, and they're not going to be anybody that you're just going to be able to push around either. And then right into the third week, Minko, which Minko has been in our district. The last two years?
Last 2 years. Yep.
This year they're not, but we apparently didn't have enough of them, and Coach Shaq wanted to say bring it again, and I'm glad. It's gonna really challenge our kids in this preseason. Minko, they got those big boys up front. I remember last year we didn't cover that game. It was the game of the week,
right? And
I was watching, and I was just thinking, man, that front line, their front offensive line, made our boys look small, and there's not very many teams that did that to us last year. And then when I went back and watched it, that's exactly what the guys on the game of the week were saying. They were just like, man, they're making the Cashion guys look small. And they've got 3 of those big boys coming back next year for the 2020 season.
They graduated their quarterback and a couple of one key receiver, I think.
Yep.
I think they returned their running back and another one of their receivers. I think one of their receivers tore his ACL in that playoff game, and I think the younger kid stepped up big time for them to help out.
And then Thomas, they're one of the teams that later on we're going to be kind of talking about who do you expect to see, in those final 4 games. Thomas is going to be the team that I expect to, battle for the state championship this year. They've got a senior quarterback that has been injured the last 2 years, and he's coming out this year with some vengeance because he's been hurt. He's ready to go. He's wanting to show, hey, I've been hurt on the sideline. We haven't kind of lived up to what we were expected to do. I'm back. I'm ready to go. And then they've got the senior running back, Ethan. I'm not sure if I say his name right or not, but Hamberlin. And he's back. He had over 1,600 yards last year. He's going to be a great player in Class A to watch and go forward. Then they have Aiden Kelly. He's one of the top 100 Oklahoma top 100. And for a 1A kid to make that as a lineman, as a defensive lineman, he's going to wreak havoc in the Class A. And so Thomas is going to be one of those teams. And so all these games that I just talked about, that's our preseason. Yeah. So those right there. And then Tonkawa, they're in our district. They're ranked, I think, 8 or 9. Like that,
we'll talk about rankings here in a bit.
Some of the different outlets, and they're going to be another tough one. So just because our district may have got or conference got a little easier, maybe. I don't know. It's not like our season's going to be easy. But I've talked to a couple of the players about the preseason. They're ready. They're like, hey, let's go. We're excited and we're ready for the challenge, and I think they're ready to step up and start off strong.
Absolutely. So I stare at it, and I still stare at it, and I just kind of shake my head. And Coach Shaq, probably he's an evil mastermind over there. What I like about what Shaq has done, I think he's continued to evaluate how to run his program and what to get out of it, and how to manage each team differently. And certainly taking a look, this is going to challenge. This will be great. I think you're exactly right. The kids are excited. They want to go up there and play those games, and that's kind of what you want out of your team. I can't wait. Definitely the 2 I've kind of earmarked is that Rejoice Christian game. It's on the road just because it's the first game, and then the Thomas game for sure. To your points regarding just the level of competitiveness and just being a Class A foe, that's really going to be working at it. If we take a look at in district, Ethan, if you go to District 2020 look, things changed this year. As I'm learning, I went to Norman High districts didn't change a whole lot. But here, because of ADM and the sizes of classes, and now with rules with private schools, if they compete at a high level, they're made to move up automatically. We get a lot of changes that happen down at the smaller classes, and this year it's no different. So that we had our district the last 2 years, which had a nice mixture. I think Minko and Crossings and CHA Christian Heritage were always a good litmus test for us the last couple of years. Tested us quite a bit as well. This year, District 3 is a little bit different. So we have OCA, which I read is returning back to the flex bone. So OCA admin is still there. Obviously, we see Crescent and Watonga, the Watonga Eagles. I think they've got a newer head coach, but they'll be returning. They run a little bit more of a flex bone type of run-oriented offense. But we'll be returning and getting Hinton, OBA, Tonkawa. Anything from the district play? I know you mentioned Tonkawa. Anything else that
I mean, the thing is, last year our district play was that gauntlet that everybody was talking about, and because there were so many people ranked in our district. This year, with it's the only other ranked team in that is Tonkawa.
Right.
I'm still not going to, go in there saying, hey, we got every one of these in the bag, because Tonkawa and then the Crescent. I mean, I'm not sure where Crescent is this year, but that game always every year.
It's a rivalry.
We've handled them pretty good every year, other than one. Every time we go into that game, it's a rivalry game. I want to see how the kids kind of go in there.
Injuries always come into play, right? I mean, if you think about it, I know if we go back to the schedule, Ethan, we get Tonkawa and Crescent, and I think Crescent is misspelled. It sure is, but it's okay. That's the OU University of Oklahoma degree. So, Crescent, but those last two, you finish the season, right? So you never know what's going to be happening by the end of the season for any of the teams, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's certainly, a lot up for grabs. But, the key thing is I think what Shaq and the program has embraced is the fact to say, hey, look, you know what? All we have to do is finish first in our district, first or second, but first. And this year, the West Side gets that third round. So we can't think ahead, right? It's always one game at a time. But the idea is that you want to win district, and going undefeated is great, right? It's fantastic, but certainly getting yourself prepared to win a title, a gold ball, is the most important thing, and certainly I think we'll set up there. So we'll go to this last graphic here, and Ethan, number 27. If we go there, we'll close this up and we'll go to commercial real quick, and we'll bring David Hammonds in to talk a little bit about officiating and rules changes. But we've got a couple of local groups. OK Preps TV, I guess in essence a competitor of ours, but we'll have to wait for the Squirtle. Is Squirtle going to come out with one, Ethan? Yeah. So we'll wait for the Squirtle top 10 for Class A. But we see Vipe Oklahoma, Mark Rogers and Austin Chadwick. They do a good job of doing their best to cover the hundreds of high school teams that are out here, and actually doing a pretty good job of doing a little write-up. They have Cashion still at 1 or 2, so it's certainly a situation where expectations are still riding high for this team. Anything that stand out to you besides Cashion and the usual suspects like Ringling and Pahuska and Thomas?
Well, just like I was talking about, you look at our schedule and you see Thomas on there and you see Tonkawa and Minko. I mean, it's just a normal thing at Cashion is you're going to play some great teams that are usually ranked up high, and that's the fun thing about our schedule, our team, being able to go and compete against some of the best in the state, and knowing you have a chance week in and week out. That's going to be fun. And this, just like you were talking about, these guys having Cashion number 1 or number 2, Ringling's number 1 or number 2, with the kids that they both graduated, that just goes to show you that the programs that Cashion and Ringling have are special football programs. Yep. And they're not going to fall off much. A lot of times, just like we saw with who was it that won 2 years ago?
Afton
and won. Yeah. And then what happened? They didn't win a game the next year. That's not going to happen. Yep. And these two teams, Cashion and Ringling, they're up at the top for a reason. Yep. And I'm just ready to see how those kids, like I talked about, those kids that didn't get as much playing time, but they have that mentality. They see how to win. let's see if that translates onto the football field this year in 2020.
Yeah, and it's nothing new, right? So being ranked number 1 all last year, and actually being ranked even 2 years ago in the 2018 season, again, ranked number 1, number 2 all the way through, towards the end of the season. They're used to it. They get it. They understand the expectations. And, and if Cashion wasn't ranked anywhere in the top 10 or maybe the top 5, you'd be hearing from us anyways. Be talking about these guys are idiots, can't figure it out. They know what's going on. So certainly the 2019, we've obviously closed the book on that. Silver ball moving forward. Those kids have graduated. The 2020 looks just as bright on both sides of the ball, and looking forward to seeing a challenging preseason non-district play going into district play, and really it's going to be a lot of fun chasing and following the team as they go after that gold ball once again. So Ethan, let's go ahead and go to commercial real quick. We'll bring in David Hammonds, and we'll get our first guest. But thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back here in a couple minutes.
You get game day ready. Dr. Dieselhorst works with athletes of all ages, taking a coordinated approach to accelerate return to play and maximize athletic performance. His work with pros in sports training, injury prevention, bracing, and functional rehabilitation and imaging works seamlessly with his medical and surgical expertise. Get started by going to athletecareokc.com or call 405-632-4468. Let Dr. Matt Dieselhorst at Southwest Orthopedic and Reconstructive Specialists get you back on the court.
Annual checkups, primary care provider, urgent health needs? Come see us at Cashion Community Clinic. With 10 years of experience in rural emergency and primary care, Cameron Hogan is ready to serve you. The Hogan family calls Cashion home and loves contributing through their local community clinic. We accept all insurances and offer very affordable cash pay options as well. So when the need arises, from pediatrics to grandparents, call us at 405-433-5008 or come see Cameron Hogan PAC at the
All right, welcome back to Cashion Wildcat TV here in our 2020 kickoff show, preseason kickoff show here for football. Definitely have a new face here joining us. But before we get to David Hammonds, I want to, again, thank all of our awesome sponsors thus far. Cashion Community Clinic, the Hogans over there are doing a great job for us. We've got Coffee Creek Church. We've got a ton of other folks on top of my mind. Anyone else, Chris? I can't remember.
Yeah, I
High Plains.
I'm not. I'm not very good at that.
Athlete Care OKC. Dr. Dieselhorst does a fantastic job. Also, he knows he's a great sponsor for us here at Cashion Wildcat TV. He takes care of a ton of our athletes. Bella Shank just returned from her knee, from her ACL, so that's fantastic. So I really want to thank all of our sponsors. And if you would like to be a sponsor with Cashion Wildcat TV, we will take your money. It won't go to us, but it'll go to the school. And it'll help the administration make sure and support our costs when it comes to subscriptions that we have with Squirtle, equipment, et cetera. And we're also trying to sponsor a class with Mrs. Karn. So anything that you can provide through your sponsorship money will be greatly appreciated in improving the quality of this production. Et cetera. So if you're interested, reach out to me. You can reach out to us through Cashion Wildcat TV, either through Facebook or through Twitter. I know I don't have my notes in front of me, but Coach John Hardaway is our sponsor, and I think there's some levels where I think at least for $1,000 and below, we have a lot of different options for you. So if you've got a local business here, if you'd like just to be a supporter of Cashion Wildcat Athletics, we'll be working football. We'll try to work as many football games as we possibly can. We have all the basketball, boys and girls basketball. We've been doing softball, and we'll be there for baseball. So you'll have an opportunity all season for $1,000 to get corner advertisement, to get acknowledgement on commercials, as well as acknowledgement in other different ways, electronically and digitally. And then if you can afford $1,000 for the season, we have a lot of different levels, definitely very affordable options all the way down to meet your business needs. But we definitely would love to have you. So Dave, sorry you had to listen to all of that. But joining Chris and I in the middle is offensive line superstar from Putnam City North, 1986. Is that right? Class of 86?
87.
87,
yes.
Okay. David Hammonds. David Hammonds is a certified football official, and we're super glad to have you. Thanks for joining us, David.
Yeah, welcome. Welcome to be here.
Yeah, you didn't really have a choice. I said you're going to come on the show. We were having some adult beverages, some beers, and I'm like, hey, why don't you come talk about all the COVID-19 rules? So, David, thanks for joining us. Before you jump in, just a little bit about yourself in terms of football, officiating, anything that would kind of make sure that as you're talking about it, people will go, oh yeah, that guy knows what he's talking about.
So I started high school football officiating in 2003. It was after my last sibling quit playing high school football when he graduated from high school, 2003. And then one of my good friends from church, Jeff Murray, who was official, came up to me and said, hey, have you ever thought about officiating? And I said, not really. And so I started going to the meetings, took the tests, and kind of became a football official. And then
So wait, I got to ask, what happens when Liz is yelling at an official and you're like, hey, he's doing a good job?
I've been to quite a few Cashion games, and I can tell you that one of the interesting things is that when you have a sister like that, every call she immediately looks at me like somehow
Was it good or bad?
I
She
should
waits for you to
make
go.
that decision, right? No, yeah. So it's mostly I just try to sit away from her when I go to the games, but no, she's okay. I can understand. That's no big deal. If you're an officiating, if you can't take people yelling at you, then you shouldn't be an officiating.
Absolutely, and it's a hobby, right? So it's a passion. You love the sport, right? You're not doing it for the paycheck. Maybe for the barbecue sandwiches for some of the towns.
That's true.
But
no, it is. Financially, it is. Yeah, it's not worth my while. But I love doing it. I love the guys. My crew's been together, one of the longest crews together in the state of Oklahoma. We've been the core of my group's been together for 15 years. So some of my best friends in the world. So it's fun. It's fun. Keeps you involved, keeps you active, and I really enjoy it, and I really love the guys I do it with. So.
Absolutely, and we're grateful that you do it. So as much nasty words and arguments that happen, we all know they're competitive. Everyone's competitive and just wants to win, and we know that you're not out to cheat anybody, right? So we know that that's the case.
And we're definitely we appreciate you guys that do it, because without officials, we wouldn't be able to.
Chris does a good job of that during basketball season. As I'm upset about the calls, he keeps me in tune to say, hey, he tried his best. Bless his heart.
Well, I tell you, basketball officials, they're the true warriors. Football, you're kind of isolated, really, out on the field. You're away from the crowd mostly. But basketball, they're right on top of you. That's when you can really hear my sister yell.
Yeah, there you go. That's right. It's probably good I got a mic too, so I'm not screaming myself. So, Dave, let's jump in. We got about 5 minutes. So if you think about rules changes going into 2020, obviously COVID-19's had a big impact. Before we go into COVID-19, any significant rules changes that we need to be aware of as we're watching games so that we're not yelling and going, that guy's dumb?
Right. I'm gonna give you a couple of the new rules that have come out this year. Some of them don't really affect what you see on the playing field, but might affect the coaches and the team. So the head coaches can now designate a coach or a player on the field to accept or decline penalties. That's kind of I'm not really sure why they had to put that into the rule book, because it's always the head coach who tells you if you want a penalty or not. But now the head coach can, if he wants to, and we have a lot of coaches that actually have a lot of head coaches that are up in the booth that aren't on the sidelines, so they can designate somebody on the sidelines to be the person to accept or decline penalties. Another interesting rule they put in this year, which is the weather delay rule, which is if we have a weather delay within the last 3 minutes of the second quarter, so going into halftime, and I know that you all have watched football and been in high school football, so if you have a lightning delay, which is a minimum 30-minute delay, that if you have that delay right before the second half ends, now they're going to allow you to shorten the halftime. So we can, in fact, it can be down to a minute. If they want it, so you don't have the teams all come out there, play 3 minutes, and then have a 20-minute halftime. You can shorten that halftime down to a minute. So the process.
They can just stay on the sideline, hang out, and then come back out.
Or not, just it's a minute. It could be halftime could be a minute, so it could be just a regular timeout
And then kickoff, and then we go to kickoff.
And then we go to kickoff. So,
okay.
Well, and they still have to have their 3-minute warm-up.
Okay.
They can't do away with that. But the play clock, as y'all probably know, we went to a 40-25 play clock last year. They had some issues with defensive injuries and defensive equipment problems, and that was a reset to 25. This year it's going to be a reset back to 40. So if you have defensive issues that would cause the offense to lose that 15 seconds of time period to call a play, now it'll go back up to 40.
Yeah, that was a big deal for us last year. I think we had just learned about the changes literally a day before the season started, and like I talked to our guy who runs the clock, and he's like, "What are you talking about?"
Right.
And
I think we talked about that. Right before the season started. So the 40-25 has been an adjustment, but it
was pretty smooth, wasn't it? I don't think we had any issues.
We didn't have very many issues really. It took especially after the first couple of weeks, it was pretty much everybody got it, and they didn't do it to try to make the games faster or anything like that. The reason was to try to give the offensive team consistency between plays, so that they would know how long the time period. So you didn't have some crews that were, before they blew the 25-second, it was 20 seconds before they blew it, and some people right after the person got tackled, they blew it, right? And so they wanted consistency in that time period between plays. So, and then the other thing about the 45-25 that's changing is that anytime after you have a completed kick, so anytime you have a kick down, a kickoff, a free kick, or after a punt, that will go to 40 seconds too. Okay. Because that was, again, we've talked about this, but that was because 25 seconds wasn't enough time to get everybody off the field, everybody on the field.
That's a good change.
I think they're all a good change for the administration of the game. Some other things that are coming along are the foul for interrupting the offensive signals. So this is a problem.
So barking
or the clapping, the defensive clapping. A lot of times offensive snap on a clap.
And that's kind of what there's times where we'll clap the ball here at Cashion.
Right, and so they're as that fly drives you crazy. So they're changing that rule from a 15-yard penalty to a 5-yard penalty, and I think that's in an effort to get that called more, because a 15-yard penalty was such a penalty.
Right. People would withhold from doing that.
Right. So people withhold doing that. That'll be called more.
Okay. We'll have to remember that one. We'll have to complain about that one.
Exactly.
Anybody's clapping, I'm like, whoa.
Well, should have been a 5-yarder. Come on, dude. Come on, Terry.
This is a big change, which you'll see on the field. And when you're spiking the ball, like when you have little time left on the clock and you're spiking the ball to preserve time, you can now do that from the shotgun. You used to have to do that under the center.
Okay.
So now you can. Now the quarterback who lines up in the shotgun probably 99% of the time, can now also take and spike the ball. It has to be directly snapped to them. They have to catch it, and they have to spike it immediately. But
so as soon as it hits the ground, though, it'll be considered.
It'll be considered a chuck on the ball.
Okay. Well, that'll be an advantage, definitely, as you said, for a lot of folks, definitely for Cashion, as we predominantly run out of the shotgun.
Right, and so they wanted to. That seemed like a good rule change. So, and then I'll go over just quickly the points of emphasis this year. Of course, player safety, head contact, that's always a point of emphasis that we have, targeting and those types of things.
Especially when you're hit on the sideline, right? Right, when you're hit on the sideline, and you're a cornerback running a sweep on offense, and you get punched out of bounds, and nobody wants to call it, and you get kicked out of it.
No.
Yeah, that happened. Yeah, I'm still sour about that one. Yeah, keep going.
So the other thing that they want to try to at least get the fans to understand is in the NFL, the high school rule book is different than the NFL rule book and the college rule book, and one of those differences is that there's no tackle box rule in high school football, which is if you watch the NFL and college football, if your quarterback rolls out, he gets outside the tackle box, he can chuck the ball 50 yards deep into the stands, and it's not intentional grounding. There's no such rule in high school football. If you get outside of the tackle box and you chuck it out of bounds, it's intentional grounding.
Okay.
So you have to either make that effort to throw it down the sideline or have a receiver in the area when you're throwing it away.
Okay, that's good to know, because you know what, we'll revert to what we see on television and what we think to know, and I'm sure we've probably screamed about that in the past. That'll be good to know.
So just know that's a because I can't even tell you the number of times I've heard people scream at me that they were outside the tackle box, but that's not a rule in high school football.
So, David, we have about a minute. So from the COVID,
sorry.
no, this is really good. These are all good. These are things that I know that come into play and that we talk about almost every game.
Right.
From a COVID-19 perspective, we know we're all icky and have a bunch of germs, right?
Right.
So we want to make sure and not spread germs, right? Because we want to keep playing. So from a COVID-19, anything that stand out to you in terms of rules this year?
So there's a couple of things that the OSSAA is doing for just this year. One of them is they're expanding the team box. As you might know, the team box goes from 25 to 25. That's where the players had and the coaches had to stay within. They're moving that down to the 10-yard.
Well, Tony Wood does that anyways.
Oh,
Coach Wood's down on the goal line anyway. He's running down there. If you ever watch anyone, he's sprinting with them down the sideline. So that's good to know. Won't be a penalty.
So they're moving that. They're moving that team box to the 10-yard line, which means that for Coach Wood over there, that's probably going to be really enforced, which means that we don't want the coaches walking down to the 5-yard line or the 3-yard line.
They can yell from the 10. They got plenty of room
They
from
can
there.
They can stay down there at the 10, which is a lot closer than they've been.
But hold up, but this is for COVID-19, right?
This is for COVID-19.
But everyone's going to keep moving all the way down to the 10, though, right?
Well, that's not what the plan is. The plan is to give them more space so they can socially distance.
I didn't know if there was going to be anyone out there
with
the 6-foot ruler.
No, not that I know of, Nima, but you never know. But one of the other rules is any timeout or natural break in the action, like after a touchdown or when there's a break in action, instead of being a 1-minute timeout, which is a standard timeout time, they're all going to be 2-minute timeouts. So that allows, because we don't know how the hydration is going to work. We don't know if all kids are going to have their own water bottles, and all that kind of stuff. So it's going to maybe take extra time to get that break going. So I can tell you that if we go a minute and a half, and both teams are standing out on the field ready to kick off the ball, we're going to kick off the ball.
Right.
But we're going to allow them that extra time to get out there.
You don't even think about that. The fact that everyone's going to have their own water and things like that.
Right.
That's not easy.
Right.
The water girl or water boy is going to have to step up their game.
Right. Well,
that's all I know.
My understanding, they're going to try to eliminate as many communal water bottles as possible. So
that's not going to happen, but we're going to try. We're going to try.
We're going to try. The coin toss, which my crew likes to do before the game anyhow, but the coin toss is now going to consist of 4 people. 2 referees, 2 captains. So there won't be, usually each team's allowed 4 players, and you have 2 referees. Now there's only going to be
3.
There's going to be 4 people, 2 referees and 2 players.
Okay.
And then, of course, masks and gloves.
Are you going to mask up?
Well, I don't know yet. I haven't made that decision about me personally, but the players can mask up if they want to. They can also wear gloves if they want to, but the gloves have to conform, of course, to the OSSAA and the NFSHS rules.
Okay.
So
we just sanitize those in between.
Right. So those are kind of the basic COVID rules that what they're doing. So of course, if the coaches or the players want to wear masks or the officials wear masks.
So there's not going to be anybody out there with a thermometer checking checking temperatures, that's up to the coach?
That would be up to the school administrators. I've heard different school districts are going to might be possibly taking our temperatures before we step on the field as officials. So I don't know what exactly is going to happen. It's a COVID world, so who knows what's going to be going on.
Interesting. So I think what we saw, as we kind of wrap up this segment, as we saw, I think we're all kind of happy that OSSAA allowed for each of the districts to kind of figure out how they needed to do it, each of the schools to kind of figure out what was appropriate for them. And I know for the most part, football is going on as usual. While there's some schools, and we can sit here and argue the logic behind allowing football players to play and not allowing schools to go, and we can do that forever, but I think we're all happy that we're playing. We know the importance of athletics to kids and to communities like Cashion. And David, we really appreciate you running through some of the changes coming up. We'll have to have you come back on a show here or there if you don't mind.
And if I could just make the people that are watching, if I can make a plug, we're always looking for new officials. And it's a great profession, especially for kids like my son is in college and he officiates sometimes at night and earns an extra $100 a week to do it. So we are always looking for new officials. So if you have any kind of desire to do that, if all your kids are gone and you want to start officiating, kind of like me, go to the OSSA website, go to the officials page. It'll tell you all the information you need to know. There's still, you can still sign up even for this season. So
yep.
If you're interested, please sign up.
That's a great plug. I thought you were going to talk about like a business or something. You were trying to get some free airtime, which is fine.
No.
But no, I think that's a terrific plug. Absolutely. I know Chris and I know Chris he's our ambassador to the officials. He does a great job, and we know we can't have these games without the officials, so we're super grateful and certainly want to support them.
And I'll tell you, obviously I don't officiate Cashion anymore because I have nephews on the team, so we've eliminated that. But 10 years ago when I came here, it was a great place to officiate. They treat you right, they treat you well, and the fans are good, and the coaches are good, and everything's wonderful. So I would say that report hasn't changed from people I talk to, how much they enjoy being here.
Good. That's interesting to hear because I know Coach Shack gets his money worth yelling, so that's good. To know.
Like I said, the whether or not someplace is good to officiate usually doesn't depend on the coaches or the fans, because the coaches are going to be happy, coaches are going to be mad. That goes with territory, but it's how you get treated. Outside the lines, getting here and being here and that kind of stuff.
I heard before last year there was a guy that was running the chains that was real mouthy.
That's absolutely not true. I praise them using. I was trying to use good positive vibes for them to get a good call for us. But David, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate you. I know we're more educated now, and hopefully have a nice warm spot for referees, and hopefully there's an aspiring official out there that maybe you've inspired and motivated to do that. But we're going to go to a quick timeout. We've got Coach Wood on docket, and we'll be back here in a sec. But thanks again, David. Appreciate you.
Sure.
Cashion Community Clinic on Main Street. Go Wildcats!
The High Plains Insurance Agency takes pride in keeping up with many changes in the crop insurance industry and keeping their insurers informed of these changes. The goal is to help each farmer customize their crop insurance to meet their needs. Thanks for your continued business, and remember, call Amy, Carissa, or Danny at High Plains Insurance in Medford and Loyal at 580-395-2447 or toll free at 1-800-346-4056 for a quote today.
As a local, member-owned electric cooperative, Cimarron Electric is committed to providing the highest quality of service at a reasonable price. We're dedicated to serving our member owners with integrity, accountability, innovation, and a commitment to community. For more information, call or visit our website. Cimarron Electric Cooperative, serving Northwest Oklahoma since 1936 and powering the needs of a new generation.
At Maples Nixon Diesel Horse, we've helped a lot of people, and our goal was to treat each and every person like a friend.
And we're back. Yep, we're good.
All right, welcome back to Cashion Wildcat TV here. Segment number 3. We're so happy that you've stuck with us. We're an hour in. I think we might be able to go for let's go to midnight, Chris. We could probably do this for a while.
Bedtime.
But we heard from David Hammonds. Thanks to David for that, and thanks to Coach Shack. Shack sent me some of the pricing for live stream. Let me go ahead and offer this up to you guys again for the 2021 season, for the entire school season. So starting with softball, the football, the basketball, boys and girls, to baseball, and possibly track. Possibly.
Yes,
possibly. It's hard to get someone there to go all day, but we'll figure it out. So if you'd like, you can get a 30-second commercial. That's $500. That's it. That's an easy investment to make for a 30-second commercial. $400 will get you a website ad. $300 will get you a fly in the corner. Right now we've got Cimarron Electric down there, which rotate every about 10 seconds, right, Ethan? So you'll get plenty of opportunities, and those are on as long as we're airing and live. You'll get that. So that's a really good value, or you'll get all 3 for $1,000. So if anyone asks, just send them to Coach Hardaway or Coach Shack, and you guys will be in a good place. So again, thank you so much. So joining us, I think you're going to take up about most of this desk here,
right.
Coach Wood.
Plenty of room.
And I'm sorry that we're not at Denny's or IHOP. I think you had offered up that you wanted to do the show at a pancake place. Is that right?
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
But maybe next time. But Coach Wood, thank you so much for joining us here on CWTV.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it. It's always a pleasure to talk to you guys, and especially we get to talk about football, man.
Yes, exactly.
It's been a while. Obviously didn't end up the way we wanted to last year, but we're going to give it another shot, man.
I think you're going to try. I think we'll be okay. So before we jump into football, in terms of track, I guess you're probably pretty excited to get back going because track was cut short quite a bit. You had another opportunity with the girls' team.
We did. We had another shot at it. We had a shot at a state title, I think. We had a shot at a state record. I think the McCabe girl had a shot to break the high jump record. We had a chance to do some really good things, and unfortunately, and the really upsetting thing is the way that the state track meet ended for us. The previous year, in the mile relay with Bella Schenk getting basically wiped out, and then getting third place and not being on the trophy stand by 1 point. That was kind of depressing. We had a little bit of a chip on our shoulder. We talked about that multiple times, and then the door slammed on our face. And so girls will be excited, boys will be excited. We got some younger kids that are going to be able to help us out, and so we'll be excited when that time comes.
Yeah,
so and then we're going to have something to run on here.
Yeah, that's right.
And we've been driving back and forth to Kingfisher for 8 years, and so we'll get to be in our own backyard for hopefully long time.
Pretty exciting stuff.
Yep.
So good. So transition from track back to football. So I've been in Cashion for a few years now. I'm still learning everybody's story as they're probably learning mine. But I'm learning that your dad's still at Stroud as athletic director, big track guy at Stroud.
December. Yep.
So there's you were at Stroud. So how did you end up here in Cashion?
Well, that's a funny story. So I was going to school at OSU. Coach Shack was the assistant coach in Perry. There were some flyers around Willard, which is the education building in Stillwater at OSU. And I know you OSU plug, but
I've been there a couple times.
Anyway, long story short, we emailed back and forth. I came out there in the spring, kind of helped out for a little while, and he bounced and came here, and I stayed. Went through an 0-10 season at Perry, and I always tease him about. And then anyway, so then my wife's aunt Tori and Uncle Jason are here, and so we would come watch JC play basketball, and then we ran into each other. And so then he said, hey, when I got a position open, I'll give you a call. And he had a position open, so called me, and here we are 8 years later.
Hey, listen, God's plan. So that we're happy to have you. We love your excitement. Absolutely love watching you on the sideline, coaching the D, coaching them up. It's fantastic. A lot of energy and passion, and I know your players respond to that. Is that something you got from your dad? Is that I know you've been around coaching your whole life. I mean, is that just something inborn with you, or?
I think so. Just the competitiveness, obviously, and just being around it my whole entire life and seeing the way that different players played throughout, their careers, and trying to mimic these guys and as a player, and then just carrying over to just the passion of the game and loving these kids and watching them have success. And I don't know, just something about it that just gets in your blood and you can't get it out, except for on Friday nights.
Well, fantastic. Well, we'll shift here again. We're done talking about 2019.
Yes.
We want to kind of shift to 2020, but you guys are sticking in your 3-4 alignment this year, and it kind of makes sense. If you want to bring back up the returning starters, it certainly makes sense from a back seven perspective. Mm-hmm. Why the 3-4? Why are we sticking with it? What are the advantages of it?
Well, for one, it's for me is I like to be even across the board. So like if you take the center and you split the field in half, then we've got so many guys on this side of the center, we got so many guys on that side of the center, and so when offenses give you a formation, it's a little bit easier to balance up a little bit for us, and then the adjustments that we can make out of it. You can be in a 5-2 real easy. You can be in a 4-3 real easy. There's different blitz combinations, and then it also allows us to play a 2-high safety, which is something that I like to do. So
okay. I always thought it was about personnel on why someone would want to go to a 3-4 more than anything else.
Well, I mean, when I first got here, we had a bunch of big bodies: Brett Wilson, Quentin Thorpe, those guys, and we ran a 4-3, and we were obviously pretty successful at that. 2 state championship games, and then we kind of lost those bigger guys. Obviously we still had some, but the amount of big kids we had, and we started becoming more athletic, And so we took those bigger bodies off the field and put somebody a little bit more athletic on there, and it seemed to work out pretty good for us. And so, we'll stick with it until until we decide that we need to make a change. I mean, it could be next year, it could be the year after. I don't know, but we think that our kids now that are seniors, we think that they have a pretty good grasp at it. I mean, during spring ball and during the early parts of the fall, I mean, it's just kind of we end up kind of twiddling our thumbs because we've implemented this for the last 3 or 4 years, right. And they're starting to know it. So it's a deal where they can just go play and there's no thinking. Yep. And when you can play instead of think, you're
that's speed D, right? That's OU speed D right there.
Right. That's right.
You don't want to go there.
That's right.
But we were talking earlier about essentially some of the players. If you could put the stats back up for Ethan, when we looked at the schedule from last year, you saw a lot of different offenses, right, ranging, right. And so I think as you were walking through the flexibility of the 3-4, that it makes sense with small class football. Yeah. I mean, you guys were looking at a lot of veer, single wing, all the way to spread offenses, and you guys were having to mix pieces together. If we look at the stats, I mean, that's a pretty good year. You only allow less than 10 points a game, 150 yards. What are any goals going into this year that you're looking just to match that, or is there an opportunity to be a better defense?
Well, I think we can be as good as we were last year. And gosh, I mean, I think we're probably the best defense we had since I've been here, not taking any away from any of those previous teams by any means, but I think we can. I think we can match it and even be better. We've got some kids that are, we're stronger than we were. We've got some kids that didn't play much last year that feel like to me that they really want to be out there. And so just in this last week, we made some comments about some guys that were like, hey man, this guy, he looks like he's ready to go for us. And so, obviously for me, getting the points allowed, I know it's 9.3, is that what that says? But yep. I'm a touchdown or less kind of guy. I know some of those points come late in games sometimes, but we still, and we talked about this as a defense too, is like it doesn't matter who's in the football game. We want to put our foot on the gas at all times, right. And those varsity guys when it's their time to come off the field and the JV goes out there, it's got to be we're still vying and we're still shooting for that shutout. And so if we can do that and eliminate a little bit of that, I think we've got a shot to be right where we want to be again.
Fantastic. Chris, I got a couple other questions. Anything that you wanted to offer up?
And what I was talking about earlier, just the fact that we have that strength, that linebacker coming back. Yep. I mean, is that something you're planning on just really leaning on this year? I mean, I know we kind of leaned on it last year with the guys we had there, but is that going to be kind of a strength and a focus for our defense, and those kids are going to have to lead and
yeah, I know. As a matter of fact, just the other day, we kind of went over with our D line again as far as what their responsibilities were and trying to keep as many of the offensive linemen off those linebackers as far as getting blocked and in our gap control defense. And so if we can give those guys a chance to make plays, I think we're good enough to do that. And and we've got some bodies there that we can mix in and with Justice being out for a little while, that's right. Going to hurt us a little bit, but we should have him back by district play. And as brutal as that first 4 weeks is, I don't know who made the schedule, but as brutal as that is, we'll get through it. And then obviously you guys know as well as I do that it's district play that matters. Anyways. Yep. I'd like to go 15-0. Don't kid yourself, but I'd rather win. If we lose all 4 of those and win a state title, then I think I'll be all right.
Amen. I think we'll be okay. Any surprise players? I know we've got a few guys sitting over here. We probably don't want to talk about them, but it's anybody that surprises you, like maybe 1 or 2 guys?
We've talked about Max Brown a little bit. Seth and Sam's younger brother. He looks good. He does. Is
that safety?
Yeah, safety, and plays some corner too. So those guys are going to have to kind of bounce back and forth just until we can find the right combination.
How old is he?
He's a sophomore.
Sophomore,
yeah. We actually talked the other day. I know he's young, but the Seth Gilbert kid, he's made some plays for us, just in the kind of the scout team situation, and maybe not for like varsity, but he's a kid that has come in for us that was like, hey man, this guy, he's had a good couple days here, a couple weeks actually. And let's see who else. All those guys are just solid, man. Those older kids, they've just been doing it for so long and playing a lot of football games. Even those guys that are now have a chance to start that didn't start last year, they've played in a lot of football games. Even last year, you think about all those fourth quarters that they played the entire game. You add those up, you're talking about half a season maybe.
Yep.
And so
we talked about that. When that happens and we go in. I mean, last year we kind of. Every time that happened, that's one of the things we said is, hey, these guys are getting great experience.
Yeah.
Maybe not for this year,
and
but
that's
next year.
Right. And we tried to harp on that a lot last year, Coach Archer and I, and Coach Cochran, about when those guys get out there, it needs to be all hands on deck, just like, because there's going to be a time when we're going to graduate those kids, obviously, and so they've got some good reps last year, some game reps, and so they're ready to rock and roll, I think.
Awesome. Hey, Ethan, do we have any questions on Twitter or Facebook for Coach Wood? We don't have to make any up. I don't necessarily think that. Did you have anything from a Coach Wood perspective on the defense or anything?
We did have Jackson Drake did ask who the key defensive player was going to be this year.
Who said that?
Jackson Drake.
Okay, the key defensive player this year. It's going to be somebody. I tell you the hidden. I got that. Andy Campbell. Yeah, I got you, buddy. I think you got the bulldog of the group's going to be who I call him Cheese, but Camden Maroney.
Yeah.
He's going to have a chance to go in there on the D line. I know you guys probably laugh when you're like, "What? That guy playing D line?"
That kid plays football.
But he's a football player, and you like those guys that are just football players, man. He's scrappy, he's nasty, he's not afraid to stick his head in there, and he
wants to play.
Yeah, he wants to play. He's one of those kids that sorry about that. Should have talked about him a while ago, but he's come alive, and I'm ready. I'm really excited to see what he can bring to the table this year. So I don't know. You just watch out for him. I don't even know what number he's going to be. We've had him in like 3 or 4 different positions, offensively and defensively, last week or so. So we'll whenever his number rolls out.
He doesn't care. He says, "Give me a jersey. Let's go."
No, he wants 1 through 99. Whatever.
Yeah. Well, Coach, this has been a fantastic, again, well-spoken. Thank you so much. Before we let you go, we want to see, we don't have to embarrass Coach Shack, but if there's, when I've come here, when we moved here, and anyone I talk to is like, man, does Coach Shack hate me? Like, what's the deal, right? And no, he's just reserved. He's just a quiet guy. So knowing that and seeing that, right, over the last few years, he's just a reserved guy. He's not going to put it all out there in all over the place. But is there something about Coach Shack that maybe we don't know that maybe is worth sharing with the rest of the group?
Well, if I'm sharing it, then how's he going to keep it a secret?
Well, not now. Let's do that now.
No,
what's it like working for him?
Here's what I'll say: is
Behind the closed
I'm
doors.
extremely blessed to be working under him. It started in 2003 and it worked its way all the way back to 2013, and and I don't think there's a better offensive mind out there than him. If there is, I want to know his number so I can call him up. But he'll put me in some situations that I don't always agree with when on fourth down. But I like I said, we've developed a great friendship. And I know that I can call him with anything that I ever have, whatever, this, that, and the other, and he'll take care of me. Yeah. So you like working for those guys.
Absolutely,
there's loyalty there, and it goes both ways, in my opinion. I mean, I'm as loyal to him as I could be, and I think he's pretty loyal to me too. So unless he's saying stuff behind my back, I mean, I don't 9.3 points a game. I don't know what else.
We won't tell you.
Pay raise.
There we go. We didn't start that hashtag.
Well, Coach Wood, thank you so much for joining us here. This is our very first show. We plan on having maybe a few impromptu during the season. Maybe grab you, maybe at a Wendy's or a IHOP or a Denny's or something. But we'll figure it out. But really appreciate you joining us, and thank you so much for all the effort and work that you do for our kids.
You guys do a great job, man. I mean, I know that my old man down at Stroud, he watches you guys during his games to keep up with our scores. So you guys do a great job. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Coach Wood, thank you so much for joining us here tonight. Best of luck this season. Go get them. Let's see if we can't get it under a touchdown.
Right.
Make it happen. That's Coach Wood, defensive coordinator extraordinaire. We're going to go a quick timeout. We're slowly catching back up. We've got head coach Lynn Shackelford coming up right here, right after the break. Thanks so much. Hang with us here on CWTV.
And as a friend, we've got your back always. We understand what you're going through. Being lawyers is what we do, but it's not all that we are. We care. We'll stand beside you throughout the entire legal process, not just as lawyers, but as your friends. We are Maples, Nix, and Dieselhorst, and we are here to help.
Support your school's booster club and get your business in front of thousands of potential customers. Talk about a win-win. Advertising packages start on this streaming station for less than $10 a game. Call 405-726-0835 or email adam@squirtle.com right now for more information.
Stream like the pros with Squirtle Live. Find out more at squirtle.com/stream.
Dr. Matt Dieselhorst at
All right, welcome back to Cashion Wildcat TV here, powered by Squirtle.com. So glad that you guys are joining us here. We've reached an hour and 21 minutes into the show. You guys hopefully are still with us. Ethan, do we know if we've got more than 4 people watching? We want to do a pre-check before Coach Wood and Coach Shack came on, but
I'm sure it'll go down now.
No, I seriously doubt it. Let's see. We got 45 live right now.
Hey, that'll work.
That's all right. So it's probably, how many people in your family, Coach?
Not that many. No, must have branched out.
All right. Well, we're super excited that you've joined us. I was kind of talking with Chris. I was like, I don't. You are reserved. You are, which is good.
Probably depends on who you ask.
That's true. Okay. I guess maybe we get a couple Budweisers in you. But the idea is that, I'm not sure how excited you get for these kind of situations. I know you get interviewed all the time. Having one of the winningest programs, not just in Class A, but in the metro area, I know a lot of folks follow. We had Cam Jordan from the Oklahoman. He was here. There's people here. We got Michael Swisher that's always giving you a call. So I know that this stuff happens all the time, but I appreciate you taking time for us here locally to do this for you.
So the little guys.
The little guys.
Right, yeah.
But and I'm always texting Coach Shack, hey, can we do this? Is this okay? And he's like, yeah. So you've given us a lot of yeses. You've given us a green light. So we're grateful, and I know a lot of folks out there, a lot of the family members from Korea to wherever. I cannot tell you the amount of compliments that we got. The fact, not because Chris and I, but the fact that we were airing this.
I think it's great. I tell anybody that'll listen that if your school's not doing this through Squirtle, then you're doing something wrong. I mean, I think the platform's awesome. I think the ability to, for anybody to watch anytime they want to, I think is really cool. And, I think kids also really like to see themselves on TV, so they get a chance to, go back after the game and watch it or whatever. So,
heck yeah, better than Huddle, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Because you get me screaming and Chris hooping and hollering.
You get the actual game. You don't have to get all the cutouts.
Yeah. Well, we're so glad. If you want to throw the graphic, we're not going to add salt to the wound, but listen, you've been extremely successful. Last year was there. All of the expectations were there. You provided a great speech in the preseason to the families, talking about how you're going to continue to evaluate how you're going to run this program, try to move it forward. you've got an opportunity. Last year, again, 14-1, had a within a score to win a state title. Have another moving into 2020. You got another talented ball club. Before we jump into that, I mean, there's probably you've not only been a winner as a coach, but I don't know. There's probably some people that know you as a winner as a player, and I know you don't want to talk about this, but I was reading, and I knew a little bit about this at Morrison. 72 straight games. I don't think you never lost a game in high school.
No.
And you're a humble guy, so I know you don't have like a plaque sitting up or a gold chain that you walk around with.
I don't have any of that stuff, but it wasn't just me.
No, I understood. But
Okay.
you were the quarterback, right?
Yeah.
And so you did well. All-stater, obviously. Coach, is it Joe Sindelar?
Sindelar,
yeah.
and
then Dennis Casey before him.
Yep.
So there's certainly a lot of winning is contagious, and winning having and being a part of a winning culture can translate and can move forward. It's not an accident that Coach Saban has won so well at Alabama, right? Or Belichick, right? There's a culture. So I know I do want to ask you about what it was like to win, right? There's an article here from 1995 that states, "Hey, ask me in 10 years what it's like," and to have won 72 straight games. But you won a lot of games. What have you taken from those experiences that have helped you as a coach right now?
I'll say this: I had two phenomenal coaches whenever I was in high school, and two guys who really approached it two different ways. I mean, as far as kind of what expectations they placed on you, and then how they made sure you reached those expectations. So, I drew a lot from both of those. The thing that I say this a lot when people ask me about playing at Morrison, what it was like, things like that. It was I didn't have the same experiences that probably the kids that I've coached have, because, and this by no means I want this to come across as arrogant or anything like that, but there weren't very many Friday nights where we were going to lose.
Right.
And that was the case from the time I was in 7th grade until I graduated. So, we didn't play in close games. We didn't have these big rivalries. We didn't have, last second ball games on a Friday night. It was just kind of, this is just what you did. And it got to a point where, and I said this a lot way back then when I used to get interviewed, it got to the point where the fear of losing and the fear of being the team that lost
right.
and ruined the win streak and all that stuff was probably way more motivation than, we're playing Yale or we're playing whoever on a Friday night. So from that part of it, once I got into coaching, it was kind of weird to to first of all not experience that, and then but to also experience just how probably the majority of kids go through high school, and that it's okay to lose. It's okay to lose a week 2 game or a week 4 game or a week 5 game, or and how you deal with that and how you come back from that. And even for me was probably the strangest thing that I had to change coming from high school and getting into coaching. But it was a unique time at Morrison. There's a multitude of reasons why we were successful. Very few of those had to do with me, but it was an experience unlike any other, and very few people have had a chance to do.
Yeah, well, I think you're being humble though as well, but no, certainly, and I think you've carried that over here in terms of the winning expectation, right? And
yeah.
and the culture you want here. But I think it's well stated that there's lessons to be had with a loss, right?
Yeah,
and
sure
and how to grow from that, and
yeah.
how to because there's losses in life.
Yes, there is.
And you've done a great job of not just shaping a team, but boys who are going to be future adults, dads, husbands, etc.
We try a lot, and I would hope if you talk to kids that have played for us, and I say us because there's a lot of us that are involved. We try to relate football to life as much as we can. And I don't think there's a sport that relates to life better than football does. And hopefully they're picking up things that we're telling them, and things that are happening on a football field or in practice or whatever, and they're carrying that over to to be a good husband, or a good father, or a good employee, or
yep.
Whatever the case might be. And that's really what what I would rather see happen is they're 35 and they're successful, and they have a family that's awesome, and all of those things. I mean, that's kind of what we're after.
Fantastic, fantastic. So we'll transition. We won't land on 2019. That's done. But if you think about this year's team, a lot of returning players, some guys that will be having to step up. How is this team different in your? I mean, again, they just there's a group of boys sitting right here that just played for a state title. That's unique among last couple of teams. How is this team different than the others, and what kind of keeps you motivated or lights that spark in your eye that says, hey, this is going to be another deep run?
Well, we talk about it every year. We even talked about it last year with the group that we had, that every team is unique, and there's no two teams that are the same. We graduated I think 2 seniors in 2018.
Right.
And the team was completely different in 2019. Right. It just is, and this team will be completely different. Kids grow up, they change. Other kids step up and take on roles, and you play a different schedule. Whatever the case might be, you deal with a pandemic. There's a million different things that you have to deal with. So we really approach every year with it's a clean slate. We have to start over, and we have to focus on practice and how we get better. And that's one of the things that we really harp on with our kids, is the importance of getting better every day, whether it's in the weight room, whether it's on the practice field, whether it's on a Friday night, whatever the case might be. But it's one of the biggest things that we stress is, how do we get better today? We talked about it on Friday. I think we have 6 practices and 1 scrimmage before we go to Rejoice. So we're going to have to maximize our practice time and try to be the best team that we can be that when we go to Rejoice. And if we're no better the next Friday when we play Perry than we were when we play Rejoice, then we're doing something wrong.
Okay, fair enough. So certainly, you mentioned a couple of those teams in terms of the preseason. Right, we've already read responses. You've already been asked this question. I think the OK Preps TV had an interview with you. It's invite. For our listeners that are just finding out about the schedule and they're going, what the heck? I mean, was this clearly a situation where you're just trying to mix things up, or were you looking for something specific for this particular team?
Well, I'll be honest with you guys. We redistrict and we reschedule every 2 years, and really for the last probably 10 years, my phone doesn't ring a lot. There's not a lot of people that are calling me up and seeing if we're open week 2 or week 3 or whatever. So when we have opportunities for people that'll say yes, we kind of take it. And it's kind of weird how it happens. You as soon as your district schedule comes out and you figure out, when your bye week is and that kind of stuff, it's kind of a race to fill slots. And there's a lot of schools that have, traditional rivalries or whatever that they play every year.
Sure.
Coach Wood will tell you, he grew up in Stroud, and he can tell you who Stroud's non-district schedule's been for the last 35 years because that's just who they play. We're not like that, because it's anybody close to us is normally in our district, and anybody close to us that's not in our district is a lot of times too big to play us. So, Crossings decided they didn't want to play us anymore. So, we lost them, a team that we've played for the last, 8 years or however long it's been. So it's kind of one of those situations where I'll just tell you, like with Rejoice, I sent out a text message to about 35 different coaches. Anybody open week 0? And Coach Marley at Rejoice fired back and said, yeah, we are. And I said, sweet, let's play. And then I didn't hear from him for about 15 minutes. And then we worked it out, where we'd play each other. Coach Ward at Thomas, we've been trying to figure out a way to play each other since 2014. Yeah. And it's never worked out. So we got it to work out this year. And the coaches at Minko are great guys. They do a great job. It's kind of the same thing. They're a little bit in the same boat we are. They don't have a lot of people that are calling to try to play them, so it just kind of worked out. And then we've got Coach Wood's got the head coach at Perry is a really good friend of his, and they needed a game. We needed a game. So
there was no secret like underground
no.
thing going. There wasn't a deal where you're like, this is exactly what we need to do this year for this team.
No,
it just happened.
It just kind of happened that way. And then when you get finished, you're kind of, wow, those 4 games could be kind of hard. But I mean, we talk about this with the kids all the time, and I know from my standpoint, getting ready for a Friday night, I'd rather get ready for Rejoice than some of the people that we've played non-district over the last few years. And if I was a player, I would rather go out and play against somebody like that than I would somebody that I'm going to play a quarter and a half and have to go stand on the sideline. So, there's a little bit of that involved in it too. And I mean, if we're as good as we're supposed to be, and then we'll go out there and play. And
You'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you hear that in the college, like that's why some kids go to certain schools and they want to play in those big games, right? And so it definitely makes sense. And Chris alluded to that earlier regarding the boys getting pumped.
Last year, I think Ringling lost their first game, right?
Yeah, they got beat by Mango.
And it didn't hold them back.
Yeah,
so.
no. And here's the thing, and you guys talk about this, and it's great. You can read it in the paper. I mean, Daily Oklahoma ranks people every week.
Right.
There's rankings invite.
Right.
There's all this stuff, and really none of it matters.
Right.
What happens in those first 4 games have no bearing on where we're going to be in the playoffs or our ability to win a state championship. I've had conversations with coaches before that I've tried to get to play us. That are bigger than us, and I've heard that, well, it's lose-lose for us, and I'm like, well, no, how can it be lose-lose for you? Because there's nothing on the line.
Right.
I mean, there's no you don't get kicked out of the BCS or you don't get kicked out of the playoff chase,
right.
if you lose a game. So, and it'll be we talked about this on Friday. It'll be interesting to see how our kids, if we do go to Rejoice and get beat, or we, Perry comes here or Thomas comes here, we go to Minko or whatever. I mean, if we lose one of those first 4 games, or 4 of the first 4 games, or however it works out. But I talked about this on Friday with these guys. The last 2 games they lost, we turned our stuff in after that.
Right.
So there was a finality in losing. So and we talked about how you can't be scared of that. You can't be afraid to lose. And if we do, then we're still going to have to practice on Monday, and we're going to have to get ready for the next Friday. And so that's, as from a coach, that's exciting to go play a game where you can put that on the line for them early on and just kind of see how we respond, because we have some kids whose feet haven't been put to the fire yet.
Absolutely.
So it'll be fun thinking, to see. Some of those younger kids, it's kind of trial by fire.
Yeah.
This is what it's going to be like in a playoff game. You better be ready, and they'll get to learn from that and get that experience.
Oh yeah, we'll have some kids they'll be wide-eyed on on the 31st or whatever it is whenever we go over there. 28.
Yep. Awesome. So we had David talk about some of the COVID-19 updates from an officiating standpoint. Is there anything that, as a Cashion community, we need to be aware of for us as we're thinking about attending games?
When you come to a game, we're strongly recommending that you wear a mask. We're recommending that you social distance, but we're not going to police adults. That's kind of where we are behind it. We're going to, concession stand might be a little bit different, and some things like that. Where people can go on the field. I mean, I doubt we have a lot of people down on the sidelines and things like that. But which probably should have happened anyway. That's a crazy thing about this stuff is, how come we weren't cleaning as much before? How come we weren't washing our hands as much?
Right,
there's a lot of things about this that you're like, we probably should have been doing this all along.
Absolutely.
Maybe we don't need that many people on the sidelines, or maybe it's okay to not sit shoulder to shoulder with somebody in the stands. But there's just other than that, as of right now, that's about where it stops with us.
Good. Any questions, Ethan, for Coach Shack? Would like
I don't want to answer any question from Andy Campbell.
Well, that's not fair. He's our #1 viewer.
No, he is. Yeah.
Obviously, a lot of jokes in here from that. Anything else from now? I think pretty quiet. I think you're probably looking at the 2 most Twitter active folks for Cashion, possibly sitting at the table with you. But we got a lot of folks chiming in, chiming in, just asking about things like that. So game times, do we have those set? I guess 7 o'clock for all of our games.
Yep, all our games are at 7. It'll be nice and cool on the turf at Rejoice. I'm sure week 0.
Yeah, about 110.
Yeah,
absolutely. And so the group will be driving up. We'll certainly be there. Coach, from a standpoint of just moving forward, anything about your coaching staff, anything you'd like to offer up regarding your staff and what they mean to you?
I talk about this all the time, and Coach Wood was on here a minute ago, and Tony does a great job. But I've talked about this at sports banquets or, any time anybody ever asks me. I'll put our coaching staff up against anybody's. I don't care. I don't care what class it is. I don't care what level it is. It doesn't matter to me. And we just added one to our staff that I think is going to be really good. We hired Steven Wilson.
Oh yeah, that's right.
He's going to coach wrestling for us. And
where was he before?
He was at Gary.
For
the last,
that's right.
I think 4 years. He was here in 2013 and helped us, and then he left and went to Gary to be the head football coach. So that's another thing that's kind of nice for me is, not only do we add just a terrific human being and a really good football coach, but we add a guy who was a head coach, so we get I get one more guy who can tell me how he used to do it or how he dealt with this or dealt with that. So Coach Robertson, our offensive line coach, I've said this. Well, I'll be honest with you. Coach Robertson's the reason I'm here. He's the reason I came to Cashion. So, I think if when he was 25, if he'd have decided, hey, I think I want to go coach in college, I think he'd be standing on a big time sideline by now for sure, coaching offensive line, because I think he does as good a job as anybody around. He's really good. And we got Coach Cochran, who does a great job for us. We've kind of moved him around. He's going to coach wideouts and outside linebackers for us this year. Coach Robinson does a great job for us. Coach Archer does a great job. So we've got, our staff is really good, and I think our kids, they don't notice because that's just what they're used to. They're used to these are the amount of coaches that we have, and we break them up and we run our practice probably a lot like a 3A or 4A team does. But there's a lot of schools our size that have 2 coaches, and that's it, or they have one and some volunteers and so or some dads that can help twice a week or whatever. So we're really fortunate, and I don't think there's any secret why we've been able to maintain a certain level of success. Is I think we have a coaching staff that coaches our kids to the point where they get better and and they improve and they're ready to step in the roles whenever those opportunities arrive. So I think our staff's tremendous, and I hope it never changes.
Well, you've been clear about that. I know at all the preseason family parent meetings as well as postseason kind of end of season type of deals. You've heaped praise on them. We're definitely fortunate. We've been able to grow up with that and be able to watch over the last few years, and certainly very, 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 very lucky from that standpoint. So as we close the book here, we've got some kids coming up. Your offense is extremely balanced and has done well. You think wide open. But it really is just like Lincoln Riley, right? Sometimes I know you don't want that comparison, but
sure.
But it seems like this kind of basically wide open offense. But we looked at the stats and it was 50-50. Certainly using the people that were in front of you. Does your philosophy is it going to? It's not going to change. It's about what the defense gives you and getting your players in a position to succeed.
Yeah, it's a lot about that, and then it comes down to a lot of it's our kids, and we've kind of morphed into different things over the years. There was a couple of years where, I would see if we could go a game without calling a running play, and then there was a couple of times a few years ago where we went a game without calling a pass play or without calling more than 3 or 4. So, if there's anything I've learned over the last 20 years that I've done this is you've got, especially in small school football, you've got to be a little bit flexible in what you do. Lincoln Riley doesn't have to. He can recruit who he wants to to run the offense that he wants to. And if he wanted to change and do something else, then he could go get a completely different set of kids to go do that. I get the kids that grow up here. So, we look at it. We'll look at it 2 or 3 years down the road and see kind of what we have coming and what are we going to have to be able to do over the next few years to be successful. And over the last 3 years, we were fortunate enough that we had a group of offensive linemen that were really good.
Right.
That for a lot of them just played offensive line, so they really got to be really good. So we could do a lot of different things, and I think that gets overlooked a lot by a lot of people. Is you can. And these 3 guys are going to come over here, and they're 3 fantastic players, and they're going to be 3 reasons why we win or lose a lot of football games. But football's one up front. There's a reason half your team are offensive linemen.
Right.
So those guys are good. We got some kids that are going to have to step up and take over some roles. I think we have 1 returning starter, 2 if you count Joey. He started a couple of games for us last year, but. There's some holes to fill up front, and we're going to be as good as those guys are going to be. So we'll have some growing pains early on, but I anticipate them getting there and being as good as as we've been, and hopefully by the time November rolls around, we're pretty good, and we got a shot to go play.
One thing that I listened to some of these boys, some of the interviews that they'd had, and just hearing from some of the coaching staff is that the participation in the weight room during the summer and when the stuff opened back up, hearing that how many kids were there, that kind of made me feel a little bit better about the line, getting stronger. I mean, those younger kids kind of hit that puberty and get, that's a big thing in the weight room.
Yeah, there's always a big, there's a big jump. At some point, you really hope it's from freshman to sophomore, but sometime in that freshman, sophomore, junior area, there's, kids change a lot. So, and I think you guys will see that, or anybody sees that'll come watch us play this year. You'll see a kid in a number, and you'll be like. Yeah. Who was that? Ethan's brother was the best example of that I've ever seen. We were watching film when Jack was a senior. I don't even remember the game. Central Salisaw, I think, and we paused it for some reason, not to even look at the sidelines. But I was like, I think he was number 35, 32. I'm like, who is 32? So we sit there for 5 minutes trying to figure out who this kid was, if it was even on our team. None of us could remember this kid that was this small. And then finally somebody was like, "That's Jack." We're like, and Jack's our starting center and defensive tackle, one of the best ones we've had. Yep. I'm like, how did he change? I mean, he was literally looked like he was 5'4", 100 pounds.
Yeah.
To Chris's point, it's really awesome a lot of times to see those kids, especially the ones that really buy in and want to make a change in their bodies. See how they can do that over, the course of, 3 or 4 months.
Absolutely. Unreal. Well, we've reached a time here for us. We appreciate you and everything that you provided. Obviously, we're super excited. Chris and I will be following you guys this year. Hopefully, as we offered to Coach Wood, we'll have a chance maybe a couple of times in between the season, come grab you, maybe at a practice or two. But
whenever you guys want.
But thank you so much. You're again with Coach Hardaway. You're one of our sponsors, so we're super grateful for the opportunity to do this. And obviously, we wish you the best of luck and chasing that gold ball. And we love to see you at UCO lifting it up this year.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun.
All right, thank you, Coach, so much. Appreciate you.
You bet.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
man.
That was Coach Lynn Shackelford. Top coaches around. We're super lucky to have him. We're going to go to quick timeout, Ethan, and we'll be back with a couple of players that are waiting patiently over there on Snapchat, and we'll have them come over here and we'll get them going. But thanks so much for hanging tight with us here on CWTV. We'll be back here in a couple minutes. Thanks so much.
Athlete Care OKC helps you get game day ready. Dr. Dieselhorst works with athletes of all ages, taking a coordinated approach to accelerate return to play and maximize athletic performance. His work with pros in sports training, injury prevention, bracing, and functional rehabilitation and imaging works seamlessly with his medical and surgical expertise. Get started by going to athletecareokc.com or call 405-632-4468. Let Dr. Matt Dieselhorst at Southwest Orthopedic and Reconstructive Specialists get you back on the court.
Annual checkups, primary care provider, urgent health needs? Come see us at Cashion Community Clinic. With 10 years of experience in rural emergency and primary care, Cameron Hogan is ready to serve you. The Hogan family calls Cashion home and loves contributing through their local community clinic. We accept all insurances and offer very affordable cash pay options as well. So when the need arises, from pediatrics to grandparents, call us at 405-433-5008 or come see Cameron Hogan PAC at the Cashion Community Clinic on Main Street. Go Wildcats!
The High Plains Insurance Agency takes pride in keeping up with many changes in the crop insurance industry and keeping their insurers informed of these changes. The goal is to help each farmer customize their crop insurance to meet their needs. Thanks for your continued business. And remember, call Amy, Carissa, or Danny at High Plains Insurance in Medford and Loyal at 580-395-2447 or toll free at 1-800-346-4056 for a quote today.
As a local, member-owned electric cooperative, Cimarron Electric is committed to providing the highest quality of service at a reasonable price. We're dedicated to serving our member owners with integrity, accountability, innovation, and a commitment to community. For more information, call or visit our website. Cimarron Electric Cooperative, serving Northwest Oklahoma.
All right, some highlights there. Welcome back to CWTV. We had a little highlight video there of senior-to-be Brexton Green. Welcome to the kickoff show, Brexton. Are you excited to be here?
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
I can tell. You're smiling. All right. Some great highlights there from you. I love seeing that. My favorite play was that OBJ play against, was that Texoma? Fantastic in the playoffs. Would you have like 4 touchdowns in that game? It was ridiculous.
Something like that.
Something like that. It was a great one. But thanks for joining us. Appreciate you being here.
Me.
Chris, we called Brexton's name quite a bit last year. We called it on the offensive and defensive side. Brexton, what side of the ball do you like best to play? What side do you like best?
I don't know. It's hard to choose. Scoring touchdowns is fun, but there's nothing like making a big play on defense to get a big stop on a 4th down or something.
You had a lot of those, yeah, absolutely. Look at you sounding Mr. Humble over there. You know you like to score touchdowns. I know you scoring touchdowns. One of the neat things about Brexton, and I know people hate the fact that I always mention Mundell Farms. One of the neat things about Brexton being our neighbor is I've got to watch Brexton grow up as a 5th grader all the way up. And what's amazing, and I don't think, you may see this with a few guys here and there across the classes, but you've got a guy sitting here, Chris, that played quarterback, that can't play quarterback, running back, wide receiver, DB, probably could play a little linebacker or corner if he had to. It's pretty impressive. And I know when we were looking back on the stats, if you want to click back on the stats, Brexton, you had quite a year. You had 39 receptions, 605 yards, 11 scores. You had 12 for 18 as a quarterback. You started the very first game. Ben was injured against, was that Drumright?
Yeah.
That was fun, wasn't it?
It was fun.
4 touchdowns and no interceptions, 67% completion rate. You had 24 rushes, 314 yards for 4 touchdowns, and 30 tackles for 3 interceptions. I know there was a couple there you and Alex fought for. You dropped, but you probably could have had 5.
Yeah, if you just get out the way.
But quite a bit of a great year for you. So what were, some great stats. You got to play a lot of different positions. What was like maybe one key takeaway from the 2019 season that you took?
Just being versatile is awesome. It was like Shaq said that we had so many players last year that, so many people could do so many things. And even I was at Stillwater the other day, and I was talking to the guys, a kid from Pawnee, and he said it was crazy how we could platoon people on and off the field. And I feel like that was such an advantage for us last year to be able to do that. But I don't know, just
that was good. Yeah, absolutely. I think that was something that Coach had harped on, the fact that we could have players that maybe just played one way. Like T.J. Roberts could have probably played linebacker for us, too, if he had to, but he ran the ball. And he was our leading rusher last year because of that, right? And that certainly helped us, and I know that would be something that you guys will lean on. So, you were talking about, a little bit of the senior class. Was there anything that you learned from that senior class? maybe what not to do? Was there, there was, 14, 15 of them out there. I know you had a couple of them even living right next door to you. So anything that you learned that you're going to take into this season here in 2020?
Definitely be just a good teammate, because especially having all them being a bunch of linemen and stuff, you got to be a special kind of dude to be a lineman, because there's not much glory in it, but they took so much pride in it, and they were I couldn't have asked for a better offensive line, running the ball especially.
Yep.
You just have a new respect for it once you're running behind them and stuff, and just be a good team player and play for each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Chris?
having a couple of those runs where nobody touched you.
Yeah.
And you had your lineman like 15 yards down the field just still.
You're following Brennan Collier 15 yards downfield.
And Ryan,
that's pretty fun.
Ryan
yeah.
Baker,
That's a good day. Harley Miller,
Yeah.
Quinlan Priest, absolutely.
I got against Texoma. That's how that was with Ryan.
Yeah.
He can move for a big guy.
Yeah.
So, do you have any personal goals for yourself? I know you want to win a state title. We talked about this before you came on. I know the team goal is to win a gold ball, and it's game by game, obviously, and you want to win and do well. Do you have any personal goals for yourself on the offensive or defensive side for you?
I don't know. Not really like a stat, but just lead the team. You know, I don't know if somebody, it would be awesome if somebody asked me at any position as wide out if what I have, like a route, what I have, like I would love to be able to do that. So. Stuff like that. More of just be a leader than have a big stat.
I love it, and that's what a leader's about, right? And I even noticed at practices now when the younger guys, the JV guys are coming up, I've seen you guys coming out and coaching them and talking to them and doing that thing. So fantastic. If you were to think about like the games this year, I know Chris has talked about the schedule upcoming. I know we have a lot of tough games, and look, let's keep it, without putting any bulletin board material away. We don't get you in trouble. But is there a game that just jumps out that you can't wait for?
I'm pretty ready to play Thomas, just from all the hype about everybody saying they're going to be really, really good. And I think they will. But like I was talking to Caden before, it's like we don't get to play very many four-quarter games but that's going to be a four-quarter game, and it's going to be a bloodbath till the final buzzer. So I'm super excited for that.
Absolutely. I think, Chris, you had mentioned that, a lot of talent around that Thomas team. They're going to be vying for the state title, and it'll be a good preseason check to see, hey, what's going to happen. Yeah, it's going to be happening. Someone might be able to get payback in a championship game, et cetera. Chris, any questions from your end?
Well, my deal is the fact that you are a 4-year starter, right? So as a 4-year starter, when these kids are coming to you that are, hey, this is my first game, what do you plan on telling those kids that are going to have to step up to fill those voids that you're having of those seniors?
Yeah.
What's something that you've kind of had to tell some of those players, and how do you said you wanted to lead?
Yeah.
That's part of leading, is getting those kids ready.
Just react and just do. You've been coached, and if you make a bad play, always just go to the next one because you can't fix it, and just make sure they stay positive and just use the abilities God has given you, and just play as hard as you can. If you make a mistake, make it go 100 miles an hour. So
Hey, that's all great stuff right there. And man, the fact that you're back there is gonna help them and give them that confidence. So keep playing hard, man. Keep working hard, and keep doing what you're doing, man.
Absolutely love it. We had some great highlights Chris put together of you. From your standpoint, was there any favorite game or moment from last year that you're looking to replicate into 2020?
I mean, Texoma was pretty fun.
You like that one. You mentioned that one earlier. All right, very good. Very good. All over the place. So I know it's about the team and it's about the goals here right now, but I know you aspire to play in college. Is that right?
Yeah.
What's that been like, with the COVID-19? You typically would have been going to a lot of camps and things like that. What's that experience been like for you as a senior to be wanting to play college football, and what are you looking at right now? What are you looking to play at?
I don't know. I went on a visit, or not official visit, to SWOSU, and I got to go to OBU, and I talked to them some, but it really sucks because, obviously, for me, I'm from a small town, you don't get as looked at as much as the 6A guys, so, you got to go to a bunch of showcase camps to, show who you are and stuff and get your name out there, and that really sucked that I wasn't able to do that, but I guess I'm just going to have to play really good and hopefully get looked at, or maybe go to some camps if I can.
Which side of the ball are you wanting to play in college?
I honestly couldn't care less. Just wherever I can
wherever
go.
You can, wherever you can go. Wherever there's
need. Jersey.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, with a lot of the schools that are not playing football, like a lot of the Division II schools I know here in the GAC and the MEAC, they're not playing. So that hopefully should allow some coaches to come to games to visit and watch you. And I know we'll ask Caden Harrell that. Has that process, there's been a lot of players from Cashion that have gone on to play at the next level. Have you talked to any other players? What's been that experience like for you?
Well, I've talked to Ryan about it because he just went to OSU and stuff. And every time Shaq will tell us to go talk to Jack Sunken, Jeremy Seaton, and somebody else. I don't know. But he said, but you can look at the guys like Jeremy Seaton that went for 4 years and could have went to play in the league, and people like Jack Sunken where he went for a little bit and realized that it wasn't what he wanted it to be. So I'll talk to them just before I go, or people like I even got I got to play with Seth, and then Archer's still at SWOSU, and he's loving it. I mean, he's all in, tells me good things and tells me about the coaches and how much he loves it all the time. So that's another good guy I'll talk to for sure.
Well, Brexton, have you been in Cashion your whole life?
First grade.
First grade, so almost your whole life.
Yeah, pretty much.
So we always love asking the student athletes that come and hang out with us. We're going to be asking Ben and Caden as well that are joining what it's like. I want your impression of what it's like to grow up in Cashion. What makes Cashion a great place to live?
It's so great because it's just like a big family. Everybody knows everything about each other. I mean, you can't get away with anything in this town, but I think it's so great because you can show up to it on a Friday night, and I can look in the stands and see somebody's grandma that I have a personal relationship with,
right,
or somebody's cousin that I know personally. I think it's so awesome that you can relate to so many people and love so many people, and they'll love you back. I don't know. It's just a great feeling.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's so important because everybody has their own role in the town, and everybody's important in their own way. So
Well
I
stated.
think that's cool.
Well stated, Brexton. Very good. Chris, anything before we let him go?
No, just when you play dodgeball with Brexton Green, just do not run and try to get the same ball.
Yeah.
When he was a freshman, we went for the same ball, and I came away with a huge gash and about 8 stitches. So that's always something I'm going to remember about Brexton. And it's been
Green.
awesome just getting to watch him
felt
grow
so bad.
and become such a great athlete. So.
Well, Brexton, I have absolutely loved watching you play over these last several years. It's been so much fun, whether it's been throwing the rock, throwing the football, running it, catching, obviously, or playing defense. You play with wonderful passion and excitement for the game. It's going to be awesome to watch you this upcoming season and being that leader to help the team kind of maybe get over the hump and finally win that gold ball. But thanks so much. Best of luck to you, Brexton.
Sir, thank you, sir.
That's Brexton Green, senior wide receiver, safety, maybe fill in Wildcat quarterback. Who knows? We might see him in the Wildcat a little bit. Running back, in the slot and coming in reverses and things like that. But again, best of luck and thanks so much for joining us, Brexton. And we'll take a quick timeout and we'll be back with linebacker, Beastman, Caden Harrell here in a couple of minutes. Thanks so much for hanging tight with us here on Cashion Wildcat TV.
Since 1936, empowering the needs of a new generation.
At Maples Nixon Diesel Horse, we've helped a lot of people, and our goal was to treat each and every person like a friend. And as a friend, we've got your back always. We understand what you're going through. Being lawyers is what we do, but it's not all that we are. We care. We'll stand beside you throughout the entire legal process, not just as lawyers, but as your friends. We are Maples Nixon Diesel Horse, and we are here to help.
Support your school's booster club and get your business in front of thousands of potential customers. Talk about a win-win. Advertising packages start on this streaming station for less than $10 a game. Call 405-726-0835 or email adam@squirtle.com right now for more information.
All right, Caden Harrell. That's some great highlight video there. A lot of running and trucking and running over people and scoring touchdowns and tackling. Caden Harrell, thanks so much for joining us here on CWTV on the Kickoff Show. You've been waiting for this moment your entire life, haven't you?
Yeah, I think I have.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I think you were made for the camera. All right, we're super happy we had you following Brexton, senior on the team. Looking at you were a team captain last year. hopefully will be voted team captain again. Has that been done yet?
No, we haven't voted for it yet.
Haven't voted for it yet, so we have it. But we're super happy to have you here. And one of my favorite things from last year that Chris Gibson, when he called Cashion games, when you were toting the rock, my favorite thing that Chris said is that boy made a good business decision, and that was to get out of your way. You're certainly built like a brick house, right, Chris? Certainly we had a lot of fun.
I kind of make him look small. Sorry about that, bud.
So, Caden, it was a great year, but not the best year, right? But personally, on an individual level, certainly, as a running back and linebacker, 78 carries, 543 yards, 17 touchdowns. You got almost a first down every time you touched the ball. I know T.J. Roberts was our leading carrier, and that was his role last year to kind of because you were both playing middle linebacker and running. But you also finished with 110 tackles, number one on the team. You also had when did you get the interception? When was that?
I think it was against who was it? I don't remember. No, I have no idea.
Do you remember?
I can't remember.
I can't remember also, but
Elmore City.
Elmore City. Oh yeah, Elmore City. Yeah. Did you score on that?
No, unfortunately not.
Oh, okay. All right. But certainly from a standpoint, do it all and has done well, and we're really super happy to have you here on board to talk a little bit of football. So we asked Brex, and we're going to ask you. We don't want you to cycle or sit on the bad news, but even Coach Shack said even with a loss, there's things that you can learn. What was like the big key takeaway from last year's season, either for you or for the team personally, that you're looking at to move forward into 2020?
Well, I mean, I think last year it really helped me realize how much of a family you got to be to complete your goals, because you can't do it unless you're a team and you feel like you're connected.
Right.
So this year, since we lost a bunch of our linemen, we lost a lot of players, so I think we're going to have to be really connected. We're going to have to be a brotherhood out there to make it a state again this
Pick
year.
each other up.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well stated. I know last year, I mean, you finished with 110 tackles. You ran the ball quite a bit. You had to get your nose, you had to get in there dirty. There was a lot of short yardage plays that, we stuck you in there. From the standpoint, you had a tough injury. Was that against Texoma?
Yeah.
Yeah. That one I still have trouble with that one. And I remember seeing it happen when it happened. That kind of hurt momentum for you and the team heading into the playoffs, into the championship game. I know you weren't 100% playing in the championship game. That's a part of the game. Injuries are part of the game. What are you doing? What did you do during the off season? What do you do to make sure that you're in a spot that, maybe that doesn't happen again? Is there anything you can do?
I mean, no, there's nothing really I could do. I think it wasn't necessarily the plays, like something. I don't want to say names, but something happened during that play that caused me to get injured.
Well, let me ask you this: Do you play with the thought of injuries, or do you got to block that out?
I don't really think when I play. I just do what I got to do.
Yeah, absolutely, very good. So if we think about 2020, we have some team goals. Winning this, I'm going to answer it for you. Win the state title.
Yeah.
Get there, one game at a time. Right, we get all that. And you talked about brotherhood and being a family. Do you have any personal goals for yourself for 2020 this season?
Maybe be a better leader and help communicate to the younger kids more about what they got to do.
Okay.
Just be a better leader overall.
All right. What does that look like or sound like? Is that something you're already working on in practices right now?
Yeah, just communicating more, better with them. I mean, I try to communicate the best I can when I'm playing middle linebacker on defense, but I want to communicate more. I want to be someone that everyone can look to for anything they need help with.
They've got a question or whatever. Are you calling out alignments when Coach Wood?
It's over all the linebackers. We all just shout it.
Okay.
Yeah, I try to make sure I know I'm spot on, so no mistakes are made.
Quarterback on the defensive side, right? Absolutely. Chris, anything from your perspective?
Okay, when was the first time you started when was the first start? Was you a freshman, sophomore?
When I was a freshman.
When you were a freshman. Okay, when you were a freshman, what's something that you remember from one of those senior leaders that, man, you were like, okay, bam, that I needed that advice to get to where I need to be?
Probably Case and Hunter Archer. They didn't really say anything. I just got thrown in there and they hit me as hard as they could. So that's when I had to realize that I was going to have to step up my game if I wanted to play with the high schoolers.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's something that you're going to. Yeah. I mean, you got somebody in mind this year? Hey, I'm going to have to pop them good so they know this is what it's going to be like. Not too hard though. Don't hurt nobody.
So that's a good segue question. I mean, but you have some role models. I know earlier we talked about possibly you've got a family member. Is that possible something that you'd like to share and let us know?
My brother Caleb Harrell, he really helps push me. He calls me up all the time and just helps me. I mean, he just tells me that if this is what I want to do with my life, play football, go to college, and try to make it as far as I can with my football career, then I'm going to have to just keep working at it. He said it's not just football, it's grades, everything. He helps me with everything.
Fantastic.
I think I'll be the first person in my family to go play college football, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, you've had a lot of looks. We know that, right? So how many? You have several offers already, right? I know OBU's offered, and who else has offered you to play?
University of Central Missouri. Who else? I don't remember.
It's okay, but a lot of folks looking at you. I know UCO's looking at you. All the state schools.
Yeah.
Anyone out of state that's looking at you besides Central Missouri?
Central Missouri. I don't know. I can't remember.
Can't remember?
Right now.
A lot though. How's that process for you? How do you? I mean, do you talk to people on how to handle that? We talked to Brexton about, he's reached out to a few other folks. What are you doing to help kind of manage school, your team now, but also the future of wanting to play college football?
I mean, my priority is right now. Obviously, I got to think about my future too, but I'm just trying to get my name out there. I'll follow the coaches on Twitter. I'll send my film. I'll email my film to them. I try to do the best I can to get recruited.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just trying to get recruited and also take care of my business here, because I know that's what I got to do first.
Absolutely.
You keep making runs where you carry half the other team into the end zone. That'll take care of itself. You'll be all right.
So are teams recruiting you on the offensive side or defensive side, or both?
Defensive side.
Defensive side.
Yeah.
Okay. Linebacker, DN, maybe?
Linebacker, middle linebacker. That's where most of the schools are recruiting me at.
Fantastic. So is there, we've got a couple more questions. We'll get Ben out here. Is there, without being too mean, we always like to get an idea of the coaches and what it's like to play football here at Cashion. What's something about the coaches that you know and you appreciate that maybe we may not know as general fans?
They'll tell you what you did wrong straight up. They're not going to sugarcoat anything. They'll tell you straight up what's wrong and if you're doing right or not.
Yeah.
And they're great coaches. I mean, this is the best group of coaches I've ever had in my entire life, and I love being here.
Fantastic. So let's end it right here. So that was a good answer there. I appreciate you doing that. So you've lived in Cashion how long?
Since 8th grade.
Eighth grade.
I started 8th grade.
So you're coming on year 5.
Yeah.
So you've played, you've power lifted, you've done a little bit here and there, obviously football. What makes Cashion a special place to live in from your perspective?
I mean, just the community, the school. I mean, everyone knows each other. I walk down the halls. Everyone mostly knows everybody. I mean, all the teachers know you by name. It's not like you're at a big school and teachers don't know you by name. So I just love being here and just knowing everybody. It's a great place to grow up.
Fantastic. Caden Harold, well-spoken. I had a chance, Chris, to ride we went to a combine, a scouting combine in Missouri. Had a chance while my son was asleep. I got to hang out and talk with Caden Harold for the 2-3 hour drive, and absolutely had no idea about Caden. Well-spoken man, very intelligent, beyond his football prowess. We talked about OU football, but we talked politics and everything, and certainly had an enjoyable drive. You have a bright future, just like Brexton, definitely a bright future in front of you, and super glad, super excited that we have you here in maroon and gold here at Cashion. So thanks so much, Caden. So much best of luck in 2020.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, sir.
That was middle linebacker, running back Caden Harrell here on TWTV on the Kickoff show. Super great kid, well-spoken. Definitely looking to add on to that yardage total. Be the number 1 rock. He'll be carrying the rock the most here for us. Number 1 guy, middle linebacker, and look forward to seeing him. We're going to take a quick break. We got one more guest, Sunshine with the hair over there. He's taking himself out. We got Ben Harmon, and we'll close the show. We're already 11 over, but thanks so much for hanging tight with us. Definitely want to get Ben on our closing thoughts. We'll go to a quick break here. Join us here back in about a couple minutes. Thanks so much.
Stream like the pros with Squirtle Live. Find out more at squirtle.com/stream.
All right, welcome back to CWTV, our last player segment here. Mr. Ben Harmon, Harman.
Yes, sir.
Junior quarterback here at Cashion. So glad to join it. I'm so glad that you could join us here today. Are you excited?
Yes, sir. It's glad to be here.
Are you nervous?
A little bit.
Is the family watching at home?
Probably.
Probably, yeah.
Hey, you're gonna have to speak up so they can hear you. Okay.
All right, I'll speak up a little bit.
So, Ben, thanks so much for joining us. We're going to end our player wrap-up on the quarterback segment, a position that always gets all the attention, good or bad, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But to kind of break down 2019, first year as a starter, as a sophomore, right, coming up. Not a bad year. 119 for 201, 60% percentage. That's a pretty good day. 34 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. That's a pretty good TD interception ratio. That'll get you on a lot of high QBRs. But I think what definitely stands out for me as well is the 86 rushes for 374. Typically, quarterbacks with the sacks are getting a lot of negative yards. But we saw in the highlights there a lot of nice runs by you on the option and on some keepers. You finished with 374 and 2 touchdowns. Certainly a good year, 2019.
Yes, sir. It was pretty helpful to have the line. Like, my offensive line really helped me from not getting sacked, and they would always help me they'd give me pretty good running lanes, and same with Caden and Brexton. I mean, they'd usually just clear the path for us.
Absolutely. So from the standpoint, there's going to, we talked about guys leaving, guys having to step it up this year. As you think about yourself going from 2019 to 2020, what was your key takeaway from the 2019 season that you've kind of maybe either put on a piece of paper and taped on your locker or looked at through the course of summer going into this year?
Well, really just to be more of a leader and lead the team more. And I know I trust my guys more than I did last year, and really just be louder on the field and just be more of a leader.
Well, and that, to be honest, it has to come with a little bit of time. You were a sophomore starting at quarterback last year on a state title run, right, that went 14-1. You were 14-0, number 1 ranked. I mean, there certainly was some lessons to be learned, but you weren't a senior last year. You weren't even driving, right?
Yes, sir.
So there's a scenario, and certainly I think that's well stated. You couldn't just come in and bark at those seniors, but you kind of had to somewhat maybe earn a little bit of respect through your play and through your demeanor. But certainly that paid off as you guys had a deep run. In terms of 2020 prep going in, quarterbacks are unique. It's a little bit different, right? It's not just about hitting the gym, right, and lifting weights, right? And with COVID-19, I know your opportunities maybe to train were a little bit different. But walk us through what maybe your summer of between the 2019 season going into this year. Was there anything that you did differently, or what was your schedule like?
Well, a lot more of it was just at home with my brother, and we were watching more film than getting more like going to camps and getting more.
So mental reps.
Work. Yes, sir. Just watching more film and watching film of what I was doing last year wrong and how I could work on it. And, I mean, we'd still go in the gym and work out every day, but we'd still get throwing time in. But we couldn't just train with the Bartlett Sports University that we always did. But, I mean, we'd text our coach and we'd call him. He'd send him videos of us throwing and see what we could do and improve on. And he would send us film. So we still got good work in.
Yeah, good, excellent. I mean, I guess with technology, at least you took advantage of that scenario. And I did not mention your brother. You did. You brought up your brother. I wasn't even going to talk about your brother at all because you're Ben Harmon in this situation. So, kind of with that in the loop, what do you think was your best part of your game last year? What made you a valuable asset for the team last year?
Being able to run more than being able to run it more than throw it, really, that's about it, I think.
So being balanced from that perspective.
Yes, sir.
You clearly threw a bunch of passes and you got a bunch of yards, but helping, I'm sure Coach appreciated your diversity, your flexibility, and being able to run that. And I absolutely loved the option plays towards the back end of the year. That was great, and I'll never forget that pitch. It was Jamel Holloway style. You were falling down against Pawnee and flipped that one over the defender. TJ caught it, got the first down. I'll never forget that play. That was fantastic.
I don't think Shaq was too happy with that one.
Yeah, I'd say, hey, you know what? It worked out. So it worked out pretty well. So there's a lot of new guys coming up. You're not a new guy anymore. You're not a new starter, right? So you talked about leadership. What right now has anybody been standing out from your perspective on the offensive side as you guys are working?
Offensively, really, Chase Ritter stepping up on the line. Giuliani Martinez, he's also stepping up on the line. They're they're getting a lot of work in, and they're filling in those empty spots that we have. And also Max Brown, like Coach Wood said earlier, he's just like his brothers. I mean, he's quick and he has pretty good hands. So that's about it. Yeah.
Very good. Very good. Chris, from your perspective?
Yeah, I mean, so last year, you just got kind of thrown in there, right? We know you've worked hard ever since you were young. I mean, little looking up, like you said, looking at your brother, you knew you wanted to be the Cashion starting quarterback. But last year was that first year, right? And being the fact that before that you had who was it? Lamb was in there, so you didn't have the reps. How much more comfortable this year do you feel going into the season than you did last year?
I feel like I got a little bit of knowledge under my belt and not have as many butterflies, and know that I'm going to be able to perform and realize like what I'm going to be doing on the field a little bit more and not be so nervous.
You know what it feels like to be out there, being that starting quarterback and having that that timing, right? That it's a little different at that different level, and I'm excited to see that progression from last year to this year, just that experience.
Yeah, fantastic. So we know playing quarterback is unique, right? There's only one on the field, right?
Yes,
and we know that quarterbacks get a lot of the credit, but we also know that quarterbacks probably get a lot of the blame, right? And certainly from that standpoint, how do you manage the ups and downs in a game? How does what do you look back to something? Is there a Bible verse? Do you picture your dad? Through the course of a game when things are going up and down for you, what do you lean on to kind of keep you positive and moving in a right mental state?
I just listen to what my coach Joey Dickinson told me. Just always put it in your back pocket and just play the game, and then you can think about all that stuff whenever the game's over on Saturday morning, and just really just play the game and just one play at a time. And if you mess up, think about it when the game's over. Just keep playing.
Absolutely. Well, Ben, you had a lot of success last year. There's not a lot of people who can say as a sophomore that they were able to lead a team to a state title, right? And I know we talked about all the other players involved. The O-line has gotten their credit and things like that, but there certainly is a lot to be said for a kid, again, who can't even drive himself to a game, is showing up on a bus and leading a team and supporting a team and putting up amazing numbers, 40-some plus points a game, 2,000 yards rushing, 2,500 yards passing. Certainly a really, really good season. When you think about, as we kind of focus moving forward, would you say that probably Shaq yells at you more than anybody else on the field? Would that be a true statement?
It's close. I mean, yeah, probably so.
And do you think it's worse at practice or during a game?
Practice.
At practice, right? And the one thing that I always heard is that if your coach is yelling at you, that's probably a good day, right? If your coach is getting after you, he has expectations, he sees the potential and wants you to get better. So we certainly will be rooting for you this year. Do you feel like you've got a good feel of some of the wide receivers now? You've seen Brexton now, Lagasse a little bit here and there. Do you feel like you and the receiver groups, Mason Manning, Fippen, do you guys feel like you're gelling and coming together as a group, or is there other things that you're still looking for?
Yeah, we're still.
It's our flights. You just have to ignore them.
After last year, we've always been throwing in practice, but throwing in a game is just so much different. That we had that bonding is just really feel a lot more comfortable with each other, because I know he's going to be where he's supposed to be.
Right.
And, I'm going to get the ball where it's supposed to be, and it's just a sense of relief that we trust each other a lot more.
Absolutely.
How does it feel to know you throw a pass anywhere in a guy's vicinity, he's going to make a catch, just like in that Texoma game where you just threw it close to Braxton and he put one hand up and grabbed it. How does that make you feel as a quarterback to have a target like that to throw at?
It makes me feel really good. I mean, that week, Shaq and I, whenever the defense was doing defensive period, Shaq would send me to the other end zone. We'd get footballs and throw it in the trash can from the 20-yard line, and just we'd work on it, and knowing that Braxton would be able to go up and get it just makes me feel really good, and trusting him and all the other guys a lot more.
Right.
Absolutely. Great point. Good. Well stated. So, Ben, as we wrap up, again, I've had a chance to watch you play for a long time as well. You and Nick certainly playing a lot of those Cashion Little League teams, moving up to junior high, and I'm certainly excited. I won't necessarily, kind of nudge you on the shoulder, but I might, hopefully that tight end might be open this year. So, Nick's he was supposed to be here to kind of offer that up. But, we're expecting big things for you guys from the offensive side. We don't see it slowing down. We know we talked about Shaq being an offensive genius, and we're going to put you guys in good position. And it's just a matter of you making the plays that you guys need to make. We're certainly going to be rooting for you, and we're expecting, but we're definitely going to be excited to watch as you guys go through. Is there any game this season coming up? Brexton mentioned the Thomas game. Do you have a game that stands out to you as something that you're looking for, either as a benchmark or just to play in?
Probably Rejoice Christian, week 0. Right before COVID really got big, I went to a training camp, and the Rejoice Christian quarterback was there, and him and I were talking, and we made a bet on the game.
Okay.
So it's a big stamp on it.
Friendly bet.
Yeah, it was a friendly bet.
Yeah.
Just a little $5 bet.
Okay. Well, certainly we appreciate that. We always end, again, as we offer up, we always want to find out from our student athletes what it's like to be here in Cashion. You've lived here your whole life, basically. Is that right?
I moved here in 3rd grade.
3rd grade, so from Norman. Okay, so almost your whole life. So from that standpoint, you've experienced a lot. You've been around a lot of people. What makes Cashion a great place to live in your mind?
Well, the town just really helps the school, all sports, and it's a small town, and everybody knows everybody. And small town, and everybody just knows everybody, and just they support sport. They support the team, all sports, and you just really know everybody.
Yeah.
Hey, one thing I was going to say about kind of growing up in Cashion. So we had a football camp this year, and these boys, Brexton and Ben, and I think Caden may have been out of town, but Jacob Farrell was there, a couple of other kids, and y'all may not realize, but that y'all being there, I've talked to probably 10 of those boys, and they were just like, "Hey, Ben Harmon threw me the ball," or Brexton, I got to throw the ball to Brexton. Those things right there, it's really huge and impactful for those young kids, and that's going to be one thing that they're going to say when they get to this point and be like, "We love living in Cashion because the kids are so great," and that's what's great about this, being able to kind of put the focus on y'all, and we appreciate y'all being there at those camps and being the good leaders for our little kids too.
Absolutely. So, Ben, thank you so much for joining us. Did you have fun?
Yes, sir.
Was this terrible? No, it was pretty easy. Chris and I were busy. And I've got, Chris and I have a player of the game belt. I've got to get the okay from Shaq whether or not we can do this belt or not. But we're definitely looking forward to having you and Bruxton and Caden. We're looking forward to some big wins and having you guys come up and slap on that POTG CWTV belt for all the fans out there. But best of luck to you this year. We'll be definitely obviously rooting for you, and we hope for good things for you to happen in the 2020 season. But thanks so much for joining us, Ben.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. That was Ben Harmon, junior quarterback. Big-time guy, big-time family, and we're certainly excited and lucky to have him here. We're going to go to a quick timeout. We're going to break it down. It's 8:26. Ethan, you're like, I wasn't supposed to be here past 8 o'clock. But we ran over a little bit. We knew we were going to go over, didn't you? We knew we were going to go over. Yeah. But we've had some great guests. We know that you've been entertained, and definitely I know we've got you fired up. We're going to go to a quick commercial. We'll be back, and we'll break down the final segment with some predictions, and we'll get you out, and we'll get you ready for the upcoming Stroud scrimmage coming up here next week. So hang tight. Thanks so much.
Dr. Matt Dieselhorst at Athlete Care OKC helps you get game day ready. Dr. Dieselhorst works with athletes of all ages, taking a coordinated approach to accelerate return to play and maximize athletic performance. His work with pros in sports training, injury prevention, bracing, and functional rehabilitation and imaging works seamlessly with his medical and surgical expertise. Get started by going to athletecareokc.com or call 405-632-4468. Let Dr. Matt Dieselhorst at Southwest Orthopedic and Reconstructive Specialists get you back on the court.
All right, welcome back. Final segment. Let's make sure we got a mic fired up for my man Chris.
I'm on.
You're
Let's
on.
do it.
Well, guys, it's been a fun hour, 2 hours, and maybe 15 minutes.
Yeah, we got a little late
We
start.
did get a late start. Thank you so much for joining us. You guys hung tight with this. Great interviews. Dave Hammonds with the referee officiating updates for football here post COVID-19. We heard from Coach Wood, Coach Shack, heard from Brexton, Caden, and Ben, our player interviews, and we broke down a little bit of 2020. We said hi to Ethan. Ethan refused to wear a mic. I'm disappointed. Didn't even want to even get his voice. You didn't have to get on the camera. Just thought maybe said you could say hi. But certainly we come to the end of the segment where we'll be doing a final breakdown and predictions. Chris, just from your standpoint of today's interviews, anything that stood out to you?
Well, I love the fact that, every single player that you interviewed and you ask, hey, what's your goal? We know what the team goal is. What's some personal goals?
Right.
And each one of those guys said, I want to be a better leader. I mean, that is what's gonna make this team this year is their leadership, the how they can get those kids that haven't played much over
Right.
that hump and ready and to make a run.
Right.
And I think they're up for the challenge, and they've done it. They've been there. They've come in and had to be those players. That's why I asked Caden, like, hey, what is it? Something that you remember when you were that age? Because that's something that maybe he can, help that next generation out and get to that point where they're going to the state championship again.
Boy, it'd be great if we could do that again. That'd be awesome. And maybe OSSA will allow us to maybe do more than just radio. Ethan, you were able to do play-by-play a little bit on the tracker, play tracker. Did you do that in the state title game? So it'll be a fun run. I know, we'll be looking forward to tracking. So let's throw the schedule back up. Thanks, Ethan. You've done a great job today, by the way, and I hate to be so bossy, but you've done a great job. So we've got a ton of games. Let's do we want to do out of district? Do we want to go game by game?
Well, I kind of went over all of those conference games or non-conference games.
So win-loss, Rejoice Christian.
I'm saying a win, just for the fact that the kids that they lost, they're almost kind of doing a rebuild there, and so I'm thinking we could probably pull a win out there.
Okay.
I know going on the road is going to be tough.
Everything's 50-50. I got you. But if you had to pick, pick Rejoice. So Perry, what do you think?
I'm going Cashion.
Okay. Minko.
Cashion.
So 3-0
Yes.
going into the Big Thomas game on September 18th at home.
I'm never going to say we're going to lose, but that's going to be a tough one right there. I'll throw it out there right now. Thomas can win that game.
Yep.
Thomas can win that game just because of the fact they're loaded. It's an away game for us, and it's something where our younger kids are going to go into that game almost like it's going to be like their first playoff,
right.
Right there, and that's going to be a tough win right there. And if we can pull it out, great. But if not, there's nothing to hang your head about.
Lessons to take in, and it'll be at home, and we'll have Ben and the group. From a specialist perspective, we're set. Right?
It's in Cashion.
It's in Cashion, right?
Yep.
So we'll be. It'll be. Hopefully the line will have a chance to gel and work out the kinks both on the defensive, offensive line side, and so then we start at Watonga. We played at Watonga last year. I think this is kind of the change in district. So we start off district play at Watonga. That was kind of a runaway game for us. But they played tough in the first half. I think it was only a one-score game, wasn't it? Or did they have the lead at halftime?
No, they didn't have the lead, but it was a.
They had an interception. They had a touchdown for interception. I think maybe. What are your thoughts on Watonga there? On the
Watonga, I think they're going to be a better team this year than they were last year, but I just don't think they're not going to be able to get over that hump to beat Cashion. But they'll be a team to watch out in the district, I think.
So we'll say right now 4/5-0.
Yep.
I'll
say let's just say 4-1.
4-1. So 4-1. Okay.
Going to the OCA. game.
So OCA, what do you say? OCA, rebuild. They're going to the flex bone.
Changing the offense is going to be tough for them. They had a kid last year at quarterback that could throw the ball pretty good. This year they're going to change things up unless they just have somebody that we don't know about yet that's going to come in and really help them out. They're going to struggle until they kind of get that offense figured out and maybe they'll come out firing and everything hits perfect. But
you see a win for us, then.
Yep, we're winning.
At Hinton.
At Hinton, I'm going to take. I don't know much about Hinton.
Yeah.
I haven't
Do
done
we know,
my
Ethan,
research
do you know anything
on
about
Hinton
Hinton?
yet. But I'll go ahead and say win there.
Okay. At OBA.
Win.
Tonkawa at home, October 30th.
Tonkawa, that's another one just like the Thomas game. It's going to be at the end of the season that it could be down to whoever wins that game wins the
So
the
kind of like
district.
what we had with Minko.
Yes, but I'm thinking at home.
At home.
With our schedule at the first of the year, preparing us for that moment. I'm going to say Cashion wins that game.
And Crescent, which I misspelled here again, but we'll just
You did that on purpose.
I did not. I did. I can see why people would say that.
Yeah.
I did not do it on purpose.
I think Crescent's going to be a better team over the next few years, but I'm going to go ahead and say Cashion's going to take that one at the end.
And that'll
of the
be
year.
senior night at home as well.
Yes.
So that and that'll be a strong senior class there. Again, led with Caden Harrell, Brexton Green, Jacob Farrow, Justice Broadbent. A lot of great kids. Colton Southall. A lot of kids on that line. So basically,
9-1.
9-1.
I'll say 9-1, and if we go 9-1 through that schedule right there, that's going to set us up perfect to make a deep run. Even if we go 9-2, 9-3, because we lost a few of those first 4 games.
Right.
Hey, that's fine.
As long as we go through district play and
let's learn from it. Let's stay healthy and ready to make a push into the playoffs.
So. Again, we get called homers all the time. We're self-proclaimed homers.
Yep.
We say it all the time, and it's fine. We are homers. But I think we bring a little bit of knowledge to the game. We're realistic in certain situations, and I think what you've offered up now is consistent with VIPE and OK Preps TV. Certainly should be a strong run. And what's neat about this year, again, we offered up earlier, is that the playoffs for that third round weird game, right? The weird game, the that game that's kind of out there goes to the West. So if no matter what happens, if we do make it to the third round, it will be at Cashion with a chance to potentially have 3 home games before a semifinal game at a neutral location. So, I agree with that. I like that. That would be a lot of fun for us.
I mean, I would be fine with being wrong and saying, oh, well, I said 9-1 at the first of the year. We're going into the playoffs and we're 10-0. I'll be all right with that.
Well, I would say put your money on Chris and not bet against him in those situations. So as we break down, so we've got the predictions down. Certainly we have I need a drink of water. Sorry.
Don't cough on me, man.
I lost it there for a second. 2 hours. He figured I could talk more than 2 hours straight, but what are anything from your standpoint moving forward? What are you going to be looking for here in 2020?
I'm just like we've kind of said over and over, just seeing how those younger kids that haven't got as much playing time because of the seniors that left last year, seeing how they come in and step up and can fit into the offense, fit into the defense. That's what's going to make the difference. And I mean, you can say that almost every year, but last year we didn't have that. We didn't have, who's going to play in this spot, who's going to be in this spot.
We
knew who was going in. This year, a lot of the positions we don't even know who's going to start yet. And so I'm excited to see who's going to step up and be that kid that said, we're at the end of the season, we're like, remember at the first of the year, we didn't even know who was going to play that position, but how could we even imagine him not being there now?
Amen. So, if you just think across the line, there's those returning starters. We didn't mention Mason Manning. He's going to have a chance to play either safety or maybe even a linebacker. We have Lagasse and Fippen coming back. They're going to have a chance to those are some guys that we did not mention. That will have a big opportunity, but it'll be some of those other folks as offered up. I'm really curious to see progression for Ben Harmon from sophomore to junior year. I got to believe year 1 to year 2, you always hear about that's the biggest jump, and that may be the difference in this team winning the state title. I think on the defensive side, they could be better than what they had last year. They could potentially be better, and that's not saying I'm not going on the ledge on that. On the offensive side, I know we're talking about the line on both ends. I really am going to be watching. We know what we're going to get with Caden Harrell. We're going to get with Brexton. I really want to see that progression for Ben Harmon moving from sophomore to, and I think he can do it. I know he can do it. Sophomore to junior year, to see what that can do for the team.
Well, just like that's why I asked him that. Like, how much better do you feel about this year?
Yeah.
I mean, last year, I'm sure he felt pretty good going with that line that
Right.
he had in front of him
Yeah.
and the seniors around him. But this year, just the fact that he's got 9 games, he didn't play in that first game.
Right, he was hurt that first game,
More
yeah.
14 games because with all the games combined,
Right.
he has 14 games under his belt as a starting quarterback.
Right.
That's going to help you.
Absolutely, absolutely, it will. And I know last year that Ben was told don't mess up, right? Just you got enough people around you.
Yeah.
And now I really want to see let's be the guy. Let's go out there
Make it
and
happen.
make it happen. Make it happen. And again, still throw it up to Brexton, hand it off to Caden. Good things will happen. But I'll be certainly interested in that. It's going to be a fun season. We are super excited. We're trying our best. We got videos and we got some highlights. We're gonna try to do some stuff for you guys to make it entertaining. I know that it's just entertaining enough with Chris and I, and I again to this day I still get people coming up. Oh, we love Cashion Wildcat TV, and I think it's part of the. We're kind of homers. I know I am, and I get excited. But we're going to try to give you guys.
But we tell people we're homers. So
absolutely,
that's
absolutely. We're going to try our best, though, to give you as best a quality as we can. We're looking into getting a 100-foot HDMI cable. So, hey, we got that going for us. And
it's the little things.
It's the little things. But I know Ms. Carnes has a chance to get some technology that might be able to help us out. But we're going to try. We're looking for, if you've got if you're a student watching, or if you're a parent that has a kid that's into technical stuff, into AV and audio visual, we want those kids. We want people out here to be a part of this process. We need folks running the cameras, helping us with production. If this is something that interests you, just let us know. We'll try to find something. We'll try to figure it out, and it might be just helping us, move equipment. It could be as simple as that, but to be a part of it. I know Ethan. I know it's been kind of tough, and you're still here, but it's kind of fun to be a part of something like this, right? And Ethan's got to do this as a side job for himself. So with Squirtle.com, so it's certainly not going away. Streaming entertainment is here to stay, and it's. You guys have seen that through COVID-19, and so certainly would love for you all to be a part of this. So just let us know. If you'd like to be a sponsor, let us know. I mentioned those. Go back and look in terms of how much it costs. And I'd be remiss to say, hey, a quick shout out to Coach Cochran, right? It was a tough summer for him, and I know the coaching staff and the coaching community has reached out to him. I know even from a softball perspective and a baseball perspective, we had a lot of local community reaching out and honoring JC and the Cochran family, over this really tough time. But I think what we heard from the players and what we know as a community, we're strong here, and I know that we'll lift the Cochran family up, and we certainly know that this will be an extra special season this year for the Cochran family as we go through, and as Coach has got a brand new boy and working through that as a new dad. So any comments from your perspective as we close up?
I'm just excited for some football, some normalcy, something that I can go and just relax and watch, and see people compete. Yeah. I haven't watched much of any of the other sports just because it's been such a weird time and situation with everything, and I just haven't got back into the sports things yet. But this is kind of like, okay, here we go. Let's get this going. Let's get some competition.
Well, hey, listen, for Chris Gibson, I'm Neiman Obabi. We're so grateful. It's 8:42. We did go quite a bit over, Ethan. So, maybe we'll stop at the corner store and get you a Diet Dr. Pepper or whatever you like. But we always say that we're blessed to do this, and we really are. This is a lot of fun for us. We love being around such awesome people and supporting athletics here at Cashion, which #AllWeDoIsWin is an easy thing to do. It's fun. We had a great softball victory last Friday. We're going to be doing softball this Tuesday at home against Luther. We have the football scrimmage coming up on Friday at Stroud, which the football team will be scrimmaging at Stroud and Pawnee. So, Chris, will you be there for that?
You'll be working? I don't know yet.
Okay.
I'm working on that. We'll see if I'm there. If not,
all right.
I know you'll do great.
I'll be there with the camera trying to get it set up. Ethan, if you want to come, you're more than welcome. We'd love to have you for free. But we've got that. And then, of course, starting on August 28th, we got first game, week 0 against Rejoice Christian. CWTV will be there live, ready to go. And we certainly appreciate all of you guys, all your kind words, all your messages, your tweets, your Facebook posts, everything that you guys do. It means a lot to us. We do it for you. We're not paid, so we do this for fun. We do this for the community because some people have certain talents. People can run a backhoe and set up a pole for lighting at a Casa field. I can't do that, but I can talk for 2.5 hours. I can do that and set up some camera work. Chris can join me. So, we all have different talents, and super blessed that we get to do this. And thanks to the administration for this opportunity. So for that, Chris, thank you so much. I'm Neiman Ababi, my man Ethan Suntkin on the computer, on the production. We're so grateful that you joined us here. Thank you so much for being a part of this process and this kickoff season kickoff show. We'll certainly look forward to catching you here down the road. God bless and go Cats.